And 3, 2, 1, go. We are live, everybody, with our Halloween holiday special of the Gothic Podcast. We are going to be playing a one-shot of the Monster of the Week RPG. Let me get that held up here for you. It's by Michael Sands. There we go. By Michael Sands and produced by Evil Hat. And so go check them out. They were nice enough to retweet us about our show today. So hopefully we'll have a few people coming over from there. But yeah, happy Halloween, everybody. And yeah, I know it's 11 days early at this point, but I'll drop this video back into the back into the rotation on Halloween night too. Yeah, well, let's go ahead and meet everybody that's with us tonight. We'll start with me. I'm Patrick. I am your GM and your keeper of Halloween for this evening. I will be running these festivities, and with the great joy of Monster of the Week, I will not have to roll any dice. It's going to be all up to these guys. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Did I say Monster of the Week? I meant 10 candles. Let me break out the candles here. You are all doomed.
Oh no.
Doom.
I prepared for the wrong game. This is my worst nightmare.
And, let's see. Oh, you know what I haven't done? I haven't set the, Zoom to record this so that we can actually make a,
Recording in progress.
Recording in progress. Now we can make a podcast out of it. So I'll make a new introduction for that. This always goes so well, despite hours and hours of planning. It all falls apart.
No, he's putting in like this is a pre-recorded podcast.
All right. Well, anyway, now you know who I am. We've also got Sharon with us this evening.
Hello, I'm Sharon.
Sharon's
a robot.
Plays a few things, a few characters in this last
podcast.
season of the Gothic Podcast. We just finished season 3. Sharon, who all did you play in season 3?
Yeah, so season 3, I play Patience, the engineer on the salvage vessel Pescado Malo. I also play Maisie Marlowe, who is a little old lady living on a space station, Wednesday Station. And then my third character is Ray Tanaka, who is the medic of a marine group exploring the mysterious and hollow planet of Trakai.
All righty. Anything you want to announce for us? Your vast social media presence?
Yeah, I'm so on social media just all the time, constantly. This is sarcasm, I'm not.
All right. Well, let's go over to somebody who is on social media a fair bit of the time with his own podcast and collection of podcasts. Let's go over to Richard.
Hey, everybody. I am Rich. I'm from the Adventurers Vault. I do have a lovely sign behind me. Not only is that product placement, but it's also hiding the stuff on my desk that I need to hide because sometimes things pile up. It happens, but hey.
Because Big Brother is watching.
Yes, it is. It's all the sensitive material I have behind me. But yes, we did recently wrap up season 3, Alien. For those of you who are following along, it's been a lot of fun. We all got to try out a bunch of different characters. For me, it was Wild Bill Hicks, who was definitely a homage to characters you might recognize in the original movie, or in the movie Aliens, not the original, but the follow-up movie. Also, Bosco, who was your everyman technical guru for the ship they were piloting at the time. He kind of knew the ins and outs. And then my personal favorite was Jules, who may or may not have been based on one of my favorite characters of history, Julia Childs, who I consider her a character, although she was a real person. because she kind of managed to be both somehow. And that's just one of the things that I love about her, is that she was this amazing person as well as an amazing character. So she became my inspiration, and I got to bring that out in a very strange and funny way.
Excellent. And then finally, for our cast today, we've got Jesse.
Hello, hello. Yeah, you might recognize me from such works as Lars, working in a space cargo bay, the cargo specialist on the Pescado Malo. I played Axel, the chipper little English sounding in various accents throughout the whole season.
Welcome to my world, Jesse.
The android young personage. And then also as Dr. Laura Angels, who just wants to go water her plants, from the expedition team. That was so much fun, and I had a joy playing so many different characters throughout the season and playing with the wonderful people here with us today.
And Jesse's also an actor.
Like for real.
A stage actor. And has a couple of shows coming up here in
I
Portland.
just finished one yesterday in Idaho.
Well, we can't make that.
No, we can't make that one. But yeah, I've got the Villains and Vixens is going to do a holiday special this year. So the first 2 weekends of December, Torch Song Theater is doing some holiday villain experiences. You'll get to see some fun mix of the villain world with some parody songs and a lot of campy laughter stuff. And then other than that, I'm like, there's so much in December. With my a cappella group Kaleidosound, we've got a few shows going on in town, and then I will also be doing some caroling around Bridgeport Village, mostly on the weekends, for Red Shoe Productions.
Nice. All right. Well, Sojourners, enough about us. It is time.
Tell us about you.
Tell us about you. I mean, we're here live. A couple of us are trying to keep up with the chat room. It's currently overwhelming us, but I think we can catch up. And we are interested, actually, to hear what you think of things as we go along, of season 3 of the show, of seasons 1 and 2 as well, if you haven't, told us about those. And we are looking forward to today's Halloween special. Woo, Halloween! Woo! So let's find out about who everybody is playing today. Once again, I'm going to go around the table. So, Sharon, who are you playing today?
I'm playing Catherine Applegate, also known as K.A. Applegate, author of the Animorph series, along with the one and only Ivan, Endling, which is a trilogy, and many other books for beginning and middle grade readers.
I did have a pertinent question that I posed to you before we started all of this. So I looked through some of the Animorph books, and there's one where there's a character who turns into a starfish, and I would be so annoyed if that was the animal that I morphed into was a starfish. What does the starfish do?
So you can do one of two things. You can retrieve an earring you dropped into a tide pool, or you can get chopped in half and turn into two people and have a Jekyll and Hyde-esque identity crisis in the middle of a crisis.
Okay. All right. And what's the playbook you're playing for K.A. Applegate?
Yeah, so K.A. Applegate is the expert, which is kind of, in Monster of the Week, kind of like the Giles character. You know a lot of stuff, you've researched a lot of stuff, you probably have a large collection of stuff. And I thought that this would be... Catherine Applegate has a lot of a reputation in her very nice. In her works of doing things like, so I was just reading Wish Tree, which is a novel of her, short novel of hers, and she'll do things like talk about how some trees have both male and female flowers, and other trees are male and female trees. This is written for really early readers, and she still believes in doing this kind of research and including this kind of scientific stuff in her work, even though she's writing for beginning and middle grade readers. So I thought this was an appropriate playbook for her.
All right, nice. And any particular reason you chose K.A. Applegate?
Yes, I thought about a few different authors, but I'm currently actually working my way back through the entire Animorph series from beginning to end chronologically with all of the companion books, so in order. I have done this once before when I was in college, and each time I reread the Animorphs as I get older, it just strikes me how kind of clever the entire series is as a narrative arc, because it takes a lot of the tropes of like kids who have a secret life or superpowers or magical powers or whatever, and kind of turns a lot of the tropes on their head. So a great example of that is how you start off believing that the one alien race is all 100% evil all the time, and you find out that that's not necessarily true as you meet more individuals from this race. And then also one of the other alien races you find out is you start off thinking they're all good and noble and pure all the time, and that as you meet more and more individuals also turns out not necessarily to be true in 100% of cases. So I thought that was a really clever way of introducing that kind of concept to in children's literature. So she always has a really kind of nuanced and viewpoint of things, and is interested in telling the world kind of how it is to kids rather than sugarcoating or simplifying it beyond usefulness.
Nice. All right. Richard.
All right. Before I answer your question, since we had somebody bring it up in chat, I just wanted to point out, just slightly off screen, out of the way here, I actually do have a Shadowrun book out at the moment, because I mentioned they play Shadowrun. This is 5th edition. For something I'm writing, I wanted it out for inspiration. But I'm a huge Shadowrun fan from way back. Actually, if you were to go on opposite side, everything's backwards here. If you go on the lower bookshelf that you can't see here, is where you'll find my Shadowrun collection going all the way back to the 1st edition book I got at Gen Con, I believe, 89. So I thought I'd throw that out there for you. Let you know, yeah, Shadowrun fan from way back. I actually have some artwork over on the wall here that's Shadowrun that you can't see either. But
I played Shadowrun all year last year. Character that I loved, great character. Raz, she was their driver, their rigger. But I was never certain that I had the right number of dice in my hand at any given point. There's far too many calculations were involved with Shadowrun.
Well, and I love games that have a lot of dice, and I think Shadowrun's probably what instilled that in me. Actually, Patrick and I have a mutual friend, Sean. We love Roll for the Galaxy, a board game that you may or may not have played out there. And part of the reason I like it is it has all these D6, all these dice that you use, the worker placement. And I think just all that harkens back to that, having this big handful of dice. And I've always found something rewarding in that. But as far as what I'm doing today, I don't have a huge reason for picking Stephen King. As I mentioned earlier, when Patrick messaged us about this and said, hey, this is what we're going to do, I was scrolling through Twitter, and Stephen King is active on Twitter. So there was a tweet from Stephen King right in front of me. And I said, well, that's what I'm going to do. Stephen King is, he's the one. I am a fan. I tend to go in and out of different, moods, you could say, when it comes to what I want to read. So it's been a long time since I've been on a Stephen King kick. But I've read a lot of King over the years. So I am a big fan. I always laugh because, as you may notice, I like to talk a lot. And, Stephen King, his writing style is, why say something in 100 words when you could use 1,000? And that tends to be my way of describing things as well. So maybe I feel a little bit of a kinship there. So Stephen King is going to be it. I hope we have fun. I'm going to try to do his cadence and style a little bit. He's got a weird kind of way that he talks when you listen to him himself. So I'm going to try to do that, but I'm certain I'm going to fail. So if by some chance you check this out, Mr. King, I hope you know that I do this out of respect, and I know I'm going to fail. So please forgive me, but I'm going to try to have fun with it. I hope everybody else has fun listening to it.
He and Joe Hill said something about watching the podcast earlier, but yeah.
I mean, he does strange things sometimes, so maybe.
And finally, we come to Jesse. Who are you playing?
I will be playing Piers Anthony, and I know that's going to be an interesting topic to play this character. And I'll get into it more. I mostly want to go into the reasons why I chose Piers Anthony. A lot of it is because I was looking through some of the different playbooks in Monster of the Week when we were finding out which ones to play, and Spell Slinger for some reason stood out for this game, and so that was the playbook I chose. But then with the selection of the author, the reason I went with Piers Anthony was because Piers Anthony, the Apprentice Adept series and the Incarnations of Immortality series were some of my initial introductions into the fantasy genre, and even like dipping into the sci-fi genre. I mean, this is before Tolkien. I'd seen movies, like I'd seen The Hobbit, so I knew of J.R.R. Tolkien, but I hadn't read Tolkien yet. So I chose Piers Anthony. It was really my first dip into the whole genre. From there, I moved on to things like Frank Herbert and stuff like that in sci-fi area, and then moved on to other fantasy authors, even more recently into like the Robert Jordan and Terry Goodkind kind of books, and there's still some questions on what's going on in some of those worlds. So Piers Anthony, don't agree with a lot of, as an adult, I grew to understand more of the themes that were being written at the time, and it was a learning experience finding out that a lot of these old authors that I loved had so many issues, not even like in their own personal life, but with the way they wrote and the themes that they wrote on. There was always questions about it, and I didn't understand it at a younger age. So as I grew, I understood a little bit more. Still doesn't change the fact that these were some of the books that I loved when I was growing up and really getting into reading, and finding genres that I really enjoyed diving into. On that note, like I was saying, I don't always agree with the author and the person they are, and even all of the themes that they write about. But a lot of these books had a really strong bond in my heart at the time, and opened reading for me. I read a lot more once I found, a couple of different types of writing that I enjoyed.
Nice.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, we're going through a renaissance of knowledge, I guess, about the authors that we grew up with, and perhaps loved, perhaps even then thought there might be some issues with. So now's a good time for the disclaimer for this episode of the Gothic Podcast and our Halloween special, that we do not necessarily condone or what are the words I'm looking for here? Condone or deny.
Support.
We do not condone or dismiss the beliefs or writings or actions of any of the authors that we portray either as PCs or as NPCs. They do not necessarily represent us, the Gothic Podcast, or us, the people who are playing them.
We promise we are not our characters. I think that's the fun part about this, about the improv, about the acting aspect of it, is that we can be somebody and they can be a total dirtbag, but that doesn't mean we are them.
And I would actually love to have a conversation about this on screen at some point, but today is the day for our special. So let's move on.
Let's roll some
get to
bone
it.
dice.
Let's get there to the rolling. But before we get to the rolling, we have one more thing to do. Each of your playbooks has your shared history, because although you may or may not all work together, you all have some prior experience with the supernatural, some encounters or some knowledge thereof. So you all have also some connections between one another. And we're not currently worried about the logic of whether or not you're contemporaneous with one another. Actually, everybody, I think, is contemporaneous with one another at some point in your run, but we're not overly concerned about that part. This is a different sort of history. So, again, let's go ahead and start with Sharon, but we'll go around. Just feel the need to, if you feel the need to jump in with a history connection that you have, please do. Let's find out what your connections are to one another.
Let me go ahead and read through these real quick. I think I read through most of them.
Come on, it's Monster of the Week. We have all this memorized.
Yeah, right. I've never played the export playbook before, which is part of why I chose it. There's a really interesting one that I have. They came to you for advice, and you're no, not that one. This one. You were both previously members of an eldritch group, now disbanded. Ask them why they left, and then tell them why you did. And I thought that would be an interesting one for Mr. Stephen King. Why did you leave the eldritch group that we were both a part of, and it's now disbanded?
Okay, I think that we can make that work here. So one of the ones that I have available on the Spooky is who I'm using for Mr. King, is that I'm going to twist it just a little bit. Is that you can hope you hope they can help you control your power. Well, that is what I hope, but I left the group because you weren't. My powers were getting more and more out of control. So that is why I left the group.
Cool. I like that. I think that if the group that you had come to specifically to help you control your power was not helping you control it, I probably quit in frustration over that, because this is something that you came to us specifically for, and it wasn't happening. And I can picture some disagreements going down, and then me, in protest, leaving over that.
You see, I was trying to tap into the inner portions of the dark side and find some way to control it in some way. But what happened is that deep, dark piece of me I was giving it oxygen like a plant that was growing, and it was just winding its way to the surface like a vine, looking for a place to grow and to flourish, and that became me. And suddenly the evil just grew, and I realized the best thing for me to do is to close that door and cut off that sunlight, let the evil wither and die right there. But that's an unfortunate decision I had to make to save myself.
Nice. All right, what else we got?
Okay, I have another one that I kind of like, which I'll use for you, Jesse. They once helped you get a singular item that is now part of your haven. The expert has a haven, so I have like a place that I can retreat back to, and I've set it up with a particular variety of of characteristics. So you once helped me get a singular item that is now part of your haven. Tell them what it was. So what playbook are you playing again, Jesse?
Spellslinger.
One of the characteristics I chose for my haven was protection spells. So I think that I would like to have you have assisted in setting up the protection spells for my.
That's very apt, considering how I set up my character.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. King, do you have any connections with anybody else that you want to go with?
Do we want to check a little bit? None of mine particularly fit well into all of what we said. It's amazing how well I've managed to contradict all of the other stuff in the history here with one fell swoop.
It happens sometimes in Monster of the Week. You're like, none of these work for you people.
Yeah.
Hey, we're a podcast. We're not bound by the rules. If you got something else you'd like to throw out there, do it.
Several of these in the history for the spooky involve blood relation or relationship through marriage. So I was thinking maybe play up with that is that we are secretly related through marriage somehow, not necessarily married together, but there is a familial connection.
What would Tabitha think?
Yes. Maybe the connection is through her. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe we have children who are actually related because it passes through Tabitha instead somewhere. But or like so, we could just go with we've discovered somewhere down the line we have a relationship through our ancestry that we didn't know about until recently, and we wonder if that isn't part of the reason that we have this connection.
Who is that for?
That is for Jesse, for Mr.
Okay.
Piers Anthony. Maybe there's a reason.
Oh man, if only Jesse had been playing Dean Koontz.
I know. That was one of my first introductions to horror, but
Yeah, mine too, actually.
Yeah.
R.L. Stein, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. How about you?
For me,
I mean, are you okay with that there, Piers?
I mean, that sounds great. I like the idea, especially because for Richard or for Stephen King, I chose Mentor from Another Life in a reincarnation kind of way. I think we were both influenced or influenced each other in the same ways of writing because of these past interactions that I've been able to call up memories of from odd feelings that I get in the cosmos while I'm casting my spells. So I chose Mentor from Another Life.
Nice.
And then for K.A.
Catherine
Applegate there. Yeah, Catherine Applegate. They act as your conscience when the power goes to my head. Ask them about the last time this happened. When did the power go to my head?
Well, if we're building a history together of me kind of calling on you for spells and stuff and in return acting as your conscience, probably at some point there was some big creepy ritual that you were attempting, and it was frankly scaring me, and I didn't think it was good for you either. So I made you stop.
It was bad. It was very bad.
It was bad. It was very, very bad.
All right. Okay. Anybody else got anything? Any connections you want to do?
I once met Patrick at a party. And
What a weird thing to do.
Okay.
Were there pirates? I'm assuming there are pirates if it was a party with Patrick.
Well, in that case, let's take a very short break,
Okay.
and then we'll come back, and we will dive right into this with music and everything. By the way, another shout out today. Our music is brought to us, and you, by tabletopaudio.com. It's a great service for RPGs, and we are using the music today under the We Are Too Broke to pay any money for it license. However, if you'd like to change that so that we can actually give Tabletop Audio some money, join our Patreon. Okay, let me hit some buttons, and we will then see where that all goes. Hold on here.
Button. Who's got the button?
I've got this button right here, and that should do that.
I love how this is all happening live.
And now...
There we go.
There it is. Okay.
It's off. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll be back in.
After these messages, we'll be right back. There it is. Oh, yeah. That's funny.
Sure. Awesome.
5 minutes. I think I can still hear myself.
And we are live again. Even before Jesse knew that we were. Wait, I had to... Hold on. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, now we're back. Well, I'm back. I think I have... Wait, 3 places. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have changed the sound in the 3 places I think I needed to change it. Everybody give me a quick hello, hello. Oh, wait. Hold on. Yeah. My sound is coming through, but yours is not. All right, I must have missed a spot somewhere. Oh. No, it's not. I hit the wrong button. Okay, but that shouldn't change yours. That output should still be there. Oh, no. Yep. Some technical difficulties. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, that's fine, but I mean, yeah. Okay, let me... So, because those of you who are listening to this on Twitch can hear me, but not the others, give us one moment while we have some technical problems. Okay, so desktop audio, monitor and output. There shouldn't be anything wrong with it. Well, the problem is that I think that I probably need to restart my OBS. What's that, Sharon? Okay. Let me think about this for a second. Okay. Okay. So you should... Why is this so messed up? Okay.
All right. Did we hear you through Zoom now?
Okay, there you go. So you guys say stuff.
I still can't hear myself through Zoom.
Well, you shouldn't hear yourself through Zoom.
Through the other thing, Twitch. Through Twitch.
Yeah. You should be able to after the short delay is over.
Now I hear.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe Twitch is coming through fine now.
Okay.
Hey, if anybody out there
totally my fault.
There's too many voices. Oh my God.
So many voices.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing with the delay, and you have both of the sound on, and you're getting what we're saying live, and then that like 3-second delay. So maybe out there wants to
would have been
mention
better
chat.
if I hadn't had to refill my tequila and Coke, and then that took me an extra few seconds, and I wasn't able to get back in time.
Yeah, that's what Dissonant Whispers really sounds like.
Right?
Okay. We're back, everybody. And now our technical issues appear to have been dealt with. And now, let's start some music. Da 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 da.
Oh my God, is this it? Are we finally at the musical episode?
Oh my God, the musical episode.
No,
that would be hilarious.
No, this is not
That would be a
musical
hilarious
episode.
bomb drop.
Is today the day? Is it the day?
There we go. All right. All right, cast, if somebody could give me a sound check for music level on Twitch.
I'd come
Yeah,
down
that's
just a
coming
little
through.
bit.
Yeah, I feel like it's loud. That's a little better.
Yeah. All right. Again, thank you, Tabletop Audio, for letting us use this under the We're Too Broke to Pay You license. But if any GMs are listening to us out there, definitely use Tabletop Audio. Gives you great ambient sound and music for all sorts of situations. You can just plug in. They didn't even sponsor us. So you can just plug in your keyword and you can get sounds that'll work for your game.
I mean, this is part of the We're Too Broke to Pay You license, isn't it? We're paying you in free product placement.
Yes.
We'll be using it again for our dinosaur-centric Krampusnacht holiday special, where we play Escape from Dino Island.
Can we call it Crunchmas because we're gonna get eaten by dinosaurs?
It's just crunchy sounds. That's it.
Yes.
All right.
I'll just eat it to the mics the whole time.
So we begin. Authors, you have been aware of the house on the hill for a while. It's been abandoned for some time, but you have made your way there this dark and rainy and gloomy Halloween night in order to answer a call, a request, an invitation. And it was just too good of an invitation to pass up. Tonight, there will be ghosts. And so, you arrive at the door. What do we see? How do you arrive at this manor upon the hill, surrounded by its scraggly, leafless trees, a strangely yellow sky in the background? Mr. King, how do you arrive?
You see, I'm just kind of a simple guy, really. I enjoy the simple things. So a nice pair of slacks and a sweater. It's Maine after all. At least wherever I am, it's Maine. So, it's chill in the air. So I've got the sweater and a nice pair of shoes. I like to be comfortable when I do go walking around. You want something with good grip. When you're out walking, you got to be careful. You never know what could happen. So that's me as I just come up to this very unassuming door, and what I'm certain is an unassuming evening with a cool night, and here is Mr. Stephen King rasping on the door.
All right. How about K.A. Applegate? How do you arrive at the house on the hill?
I've driven myself, and I parked a little bit down the hill at a place where there seems to be a wide spot at the side of the road. I'm dressed fairly normally with a nice pair of pants, and they're kind of a light gray. I've got a little shrug over my shoulders. It's a little bit of a chillier evening. Long sleeves. I've got kind of a minimum of jewelry on tonight, just none of my dangly earrings or anything like that. I thought I would dress a little more practically for this tonight. And I do have a bag that I'm carrying with me. It's an over-the-shoulder, one of these older over-the-shoulder mailbag carrier types.
All right. And finally, even as Mr. King lifts his hand to knock upon the door, Piers Anthony arrives. How do you arrive, Piers?
Well, that totally botched that idea I have had of Piers.
I'm sorry. Would you like to arrive in some other way? Parachute, perhaps?
We could have carpooled if you want.
How about this? I arrive again. Because what I did is I actually arrived about 30 minutes ago and kind of did a scan of the perimeter and just walked around the grounds or around the property. And then I just kind of walk back either out of some kind of field of grass or from behind a tree around the corner of the house and notice Mr. King rapping on that door.
Okay.
There appears to be somebody out skulking in the bushes. I don't understand. You should just come up into the light, good sir. Oh, goodness.
That's just Piers Anthony. Don't. He just does that sometimes. I wave to him.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Well, come along. I don't know why we're here, but we should have gone with it. Do you know why we're here?
Allegedly, there will be ghosts tonight.
Oh. You know, that reminds me. I haven't written enough stories about ghosts. I should do more ghosts.
Yes. More ghosts.
Yes. Actually, I just did. I just finished a novel just then. I'm Stephen King. I can write them just that fast. Look, I just wrote another one.
All right. Stephen King raps upon the door. And
like a rap battle throughout history.
Look, everybody, it's Halloween.
They call me Cujo.
I know it's 11 days until Halloween, but I have Halloween decorations outside my window. Look at my backdrop. It's Cthulhu.
Excellent.
All right. Stephen King raps upon the door.
Rap.
There's a moment, and then it opens, and standing there is the spitting image of the tall man from Phantasm.
I love you right now, Patrick.
Tall and gaunt, hair close to the scalp, swept back, features gaunt. And he says, "Yes, you have come for the event. You are wanted in the study."
I love
the voice. He turns and glides somehow across the entranceway of this foyer, of this manor house. And inside is also creaking and old and not entirely decrepit. There is a feel of warmth almost about it. You expected cold. The outside, it is chilly. The rains have come. And it is, of course, late October, almost November. And inside you expected it to be just as cold because this is an abandoned house. This is not a house where someone has been living. But as you enter the foyer, as you pass by the rusted suits of armor in their niches on the wall, as you pass underneath the hanging candelabra of horns of elk and deer and jackalope, you, with candles dripping wax, down upon you as you pass beneath. You pass into a parlor area, which is carpeted with a very ornate rug from the Middle East. And there is a fireplace blazing, and there are people milling about in here. There are Victorian settees and old tables here, and there is a bar against one wall, and it appears that that against the over by the bar, helping herself to a drink, is Agatha Christie. And she pours 2 martinis after a little bit of clacking about in the shaker with the ice. She pours 2 martinis, shaken, not stirred, and takes one over to a settee where Henry James is lounging. And he accepts the second one, and they engage in conversation. But the tall man leads you on past the room filled with what appear to be, just upon glance, literary figures that you recognize, and beyond into a large marble-floored space with sweeping, what are those called? Staircases. Sweeping staircases that rise up to the next floor. This is my second.
I thought you were going to say, like, flying buttresses or something really specific, but it's staircases.
And he leads you off to a room to the right. And there is the study, a closer room than the one where all of the people that you just saw were arrayed in, waiting. Several of whom noted as you went through, noted your arrival, and some of whom nodded to you, knowing who you were, perhaps, or just nodding because of your arrival. And anyway, this study is lined with books, bookshelves, books on the bookshelves. There is a heavy wood desk where you might expect it upon a warm carpet. There's a fire burning in a small fireplace. The light comes from that fire and from sconces around the room in which gas flames hiss, and the smell of gas, natural gas, is present in the room. There is no one behind the desk, and the tall man recedes, never turning, but recedes out the door that he brought you through. And the door closes behind him, and you are left in this room. Do you do anything initially?
Yeah, I actually have a beginning of mystery roll that I should have done earlier.
Now sounds like a good time.
Okay.
This is some weirdness that should trigger it if anything does.
Absolutely. So this one is called The Woman or Man with the Plan. At the beginning of each mystery, roll plus sharp. On a 10 plus, hold 2, 7 to 9, hold 1. And I can basically spend the hold to be where I need to be, prepared and ready. And if I miss, then you hold 1 to spend on me in the future to put me in a bad place, unprepared and unready.
Let me prepare for the miss that you're about to have. You're using the bone dice, yes?
I am actually not, because the last time they rolled like a 3 and a 2 in quick succession. It is plus sharp.
But the bone dice, Sharon, the bone dice.
Uh-huh. The ones that you bought for me and then rolled a 3 and a 2. It's a 8 total. 8 total. So I hold 1.
All right. So you get to hold that to be somewhere where you need to be when you need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice.
And the text is prepared and ready. So I'm not just there. I'm like ready for whatever I need to be ready for.
Okay, interesting. That satchel then containing more than perhaps we might think it does. Excellent. Well, mark that down and remember it, because I'm sure that I won't. Any others of you have? Doesn't the spooky have a beginning of?
There is one that I'm going to kind of just look around at. One of the ones that I've chosen is the sight. I can see the invisible, especially spirits and magical influences, and communicate with them. Okay. It gives me more of an opportunity to spot clues. So that's one thing Mr. King will do, is kind of activate that inner sight of his and glance around the room, giving it a look with different eyes.
Okay. Go ahead and investigate a mystery then.
Okay, let's see here. We shall indeed.
That is for investigate a mystery, right?
Yes. Okay, so
nice.
So that's going to be sharp. That's going to be 9 total.
As a side note, Sojourners, because we are doing this on Twitch with actual video, Richard finally gets to use his dice cam. Okay. What was the total?
9. Total's 9.
9 total. So you get to... Oh, where'd my stuff go? So yeah, so hold 2. I'm sorry, hold 1.
Okay.
Is there anything you would like to ask at this point?
Just, the basic, assuming, see if I see anything that I didn't see before.
Okay. Do you have the list in front of you of what investigate a mystery questions are?
I have close to it.
You can go to the Google Docs page if you want.
No, I have it right here. Sorry, there's a lot of things up on screen here.
But that sounds kind of like what is being concealed here to me.
Yeah, that's probably the closest. What is being concealed here?
All right. So, Mr. King, as you look around the room with your sight, it isn't the sight necessarily that gives you insight here. It is your writer's attention to detail. And perhaps, in a way, that is what your sight is. And one of the things you see is the thing that's out of place. This is all very Victorian in here. All very 19th century England. Even though this is not England. But on the desk, right in front of the chair, is a disc made of some sort of silvery metal. It's a disc with a jewel in the center. And it appears to be bolted to the desk. And before anything else happens, Piers, are you doing anything?
No, I was just going to say I would probably be walking towards the desk and just kind of looking around at everything, seeing, just kind of like, I guess we wait. I can wait in my head, just kind of thing as I just look around and walk towards the desk.
All right.
I'll also be walking in and looking around, but just for flavor.
There's not a lot of distance to walk toward the desk, but as you take
look at the desk,
as you take a step forward, Piers, the crystal, the gem in the disc lights up, and above it appears a face. a holographic face.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing.
And it is the spitting image of Vincent Price.
Very nice.
Love it. I love it.
Your GM for the evening watched Vincent Price videos for several minutes this morning trying to get the voice right.
Good luck.
I have failed.
He's a very singular sounding fellow.
Patrick, you would be happy to know they do the Thriller on C Street here, where they have the troupe that dances Thriller. This year they did this parade, but my wife has been wanting to do that for years, and finally this is the year that they went back and did it in person. So she participated this year. So of course she had to learn the dance, which half of that song is Vincent Price's monologue.
Yes.
So I have heard that monologue hundreds of times in about the last month.
So I apologize for my accent for Vincent Price. Welcome. I'm just doing one. I'm not doing Vincent Price. I'm just doing an accent. Welcome. You three especially have been brought here this evening to make this evening possible. Thank you for coming, for tonight is a very special evening. You are going to prove the existence of the afterlife. I want you three, of all those I have invited here tonight, you three are the three who have knowledge and abilities beyond what is known. If there is anyone among those gathered here tonight who can show to me the existence of consciousness, of some way of existing beyond what we understand consciousness and the soul and existence to be, I will give you $1 million. And the Vincent Price hologram actually does hold his pinky up to his lips.
$1 million.
$1 million.
We all look at the sum, shrug our shoulders, and walk away. And we're like, it's not worth it.
Speak for yourself, Stephen.
Is there
Or,
more?
in the case of Mr. King, $1 million donated to your favorite charity.
That's better, actually. I prefer that.
Or for all of you. However you want to spend the $1 million is up to you. So this hologram is kind of greenish. It is almost three-dimensional, but if any of you kind of move partway around the desk to see, you see that it's just the front part of the face, as if a death mask were cast over Vincent Price. And it's just a mask rather than the full head of him. And he continues. This house is the house where Houdini died. I want you to perform a seance. I want you to bring the spirit of Houdini back. I want you to show that it can be done. He said that if it was possible, he would come back. The great skeptic that he was. And if you wish to talk about Houdini more with someone who knew him well, in the outer room is, you may have noticed upon your way in, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Houdini's friend and eventual rival. So, what do you think?
I think I'm going to take this little holographic projector and make my millions with reproducing these.
So this is a live feed?
This message goes two ways. It's not a pre-recorded Vincent Price face.
Oh, no. Hello.
Hello. Cheerio, chap.
Good day, sir.
Okay. Well, are we sure we want to release supernatural bonds on a well-known escapist?
Are you asking me? The answer is yes.
Fine.
It is the task I have chosen for you. If you don't have anything for me, my hologram will go away.
Fine. I guess we can manage something along those lines.
Trying to decide if it's irony that he hasn't escaped on his own.
The hologram nods and goes, "You will find everything you need among the people here and among the staff that is here to serve you. So, have a lovely evening. I will be watching." And the hologram disappears. You may now discuss.
Well, I guess we need to talk to Mr. Doyle.
I suppose, as they say, the game is afoot.
I knew you were going to say that.
What do you do?
Go out the room and find Arthur Conan Doyle.
Sir. There should be a sir in there somewhere.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Maybe it was pre-nighting. I don't know.
Oh, could be.
We don't know. I suspect this is several decades post-knighting for him.
I don't actually have any clue when he was knighted.
Not that it really matters.
At this point, I'm all like, open the door and be walking back out into the hall.
Yeah, let's tag along.
Sure.
Back out into the grand entrance where the marble floors and the sweeping staircases are. The lighting is from, again, sconces in the wall hissing with gas flames, but also mighty and vast chandeliers of horns that drop down from the high ceiling here of this chamber. This is not the study where this is not the sitting room where everyone could be seen earlier, but some have spilled out of that room now and are milling about here in the this hall, this entranceway that allows access to the rest of the house. The yellow light of the sky does burn in through the windows that are only draped with ratted, moth-eaten tapestries. But you do see a few people wander by that you recognize from their portraits. You see Shirley Jackson. You see Mary Shelley. You see William Shakespeare. Right, call me Billy if you would.
He's like, what's a martini?
And he has a martini because Agatha Christie made martinis for everyone. Has a martini with an olive on an umbrella stick in it as he walks by. But he is dressed as you might expect from the time, not in the portraiture and the caricatures, but rather in the more daily garb of someone from his century.
What for art thou, this drink I have before me?
BTW, if those viewers of you read closely, my t-shirt is the to be or not to be speech from Hamlet in the shape of a skull.
Nice. I would lean closer to Piers and be like, I wonder why the holographic Mr. Price feels the need to prove the existence of an afterlife when we are apparently surrounded by other authors long departed.
I wonder if he's not after Mr. Houdini specifically.
And if so, what would he want with him?
I don't know, but I agree with my esteemed colleague here, Mr. Anthony, and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle would be the place to start.
Piers, is your site still open, or did you close that down?
Oh, it's Stephen.
Mr. King has the site.
Oh, sorry. Wait. Yes. Mr. King, is your site still open, or did you shut that down?
Nobody's walking around like this.
Probably would have shut down, but he'd open it back up when he came into the room. Since we really didn't get to see in this room, we just kind of glanced in. He would open it back up upon entering the room.
Okay. Go ahead and roll Investigate a Mystery.
Okay. No!
Oh, boxcars.
So that
beautiful.
That is lucky number 13 right there.
Oh, yeah.
How appropriate.
Perfect for the evening and for episode 13 of 2 seasons ago.
Well, we couldn't stop rolling.
That was a negative, unlucky number 13.
Yeah, it was bad there. But...
So, what you see, Stephen, is you... So, this is your oddity, the strangeness with which you see the world. You don't see things the way that other people do. You see, in a lot of cases, the trickery that is about. And in this case, what you see is that the figures around you aren't ghosts, but they're also not real. They are more solid, perhaps, than the hologram in the study, but no less an artifact, a construction.
They do seem to be, I want to say simulation, but maybe simulacrum is more the appropriate term for what they all appear to be. I don't understand what I'm seeing. I've seen nothing like this. They seem to be both of this world and not. Perhaps a recreation of who they were. Could you recreate a personality from something so simple as the words they write or the things they share? If that's the case, are we who we are, or have we also been recreated? Could they take our work and do such a thing?
Is that not what we do when we put our work out into the world? This is way too philosophical.
Yes.
Put out recreations of ourselves for other people to get to know.
But
this is more literal than that.
But is it though? I wonder if this is what we're seeing here. They're not real, but they're here. Is this the way they were remembered? Maybe they are their works. Let's ask him, shall we?
Piers, what are you doing?
Okay, I guess my big question is, do I know who Sir Doyle is? Like, would I recognize him and go right towards him?
I mean, you're an author. You might need, do you have, a cell phone or anything on you to look up a picture of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle?
Well, Piers is
Piers, would he have met the man before, or at least know what he looks like?
No. Sir Arthur Conan
Okay.
Doyle is before Piers Anthony's time.
Excellent. That's kind of what I was wondering. Sir Doyle? Is there a Sir Doyle here?
Shakespeare comes over and says, right, you're looking for Artie.
Artie.
Yeah.
Right.
Conan Doyle, you said.
Yes.
Right.
You direct me to where
I
he
think
might
he's still back in the sitting room.
This
Hey.
is my favorite Patrick voice.
Shakespeare. Billy Shakespeare. Nice to
Thanks,
meet you.
Miss. Oh, yes. Thanks, Mr. Shakespeare.
Maybe
if
you've
you'll
heard of
excuse
me. I do some plays now and again. Have you watched any of my stuff?
Lovely romance, tragedy, yes. Thank you. I think I just need to speak with Mr. Doyle as soon as possible.
Right, well, I mean, like I said, over there in the sitting room, right by the front doors. You got to go past there, kind of, when you come in. I mean,
I must-
it's right off to the little, that's that right there. Yeah.
I must admit, I thought
I've
his,
walked away and he's still like pointing. I'm like, okay,
Right over there.
thanks. Bye.
Do you need anything from me? Billy,
I'll go-
you can just call
I'll
me
go-
Billy.
I want to go over to him and go, try a dark and stormy next, dear.
Over my shoulder. Appreciated, Billy.
I had this strange notion that he would, be more Shakespearean, I suppose.
One would assume. I suppose everyone's a person when you get down to it.
Aw.
They're interesting sentiment, since I don't think they actually are.
And in manner of speaking.
It was
So-
aliens.
So Piers Anthony heads down the short hallway past the suits of armor to the sitting room. And as you pass, is it possible that one of the suits of armor clanks just a little bit?
Oh, I'd stop and investigate that.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps. Roll, read a bad situation, Piers.
Oh, okay. This is where I was thankful because it seems like you both went a little bit more on the investigative mystery, so I'm glad I picked a good read a bad situation one. Oh, 14? Is that a good roll?
No, we do inverse monster of the week here. Where your 2d6 plus your stat are
On
you
a
want to
scale of 6
you
to
then
12.
flip it.
How good is
Yeah.
14?
The worst thing you can get is 12 plus. Yeah. No,
That's the second boxcars of the night. So
Nice. Nice. Don't waste them, you guys.
Yeah, no.
trying to get him out of the way early here.
right?
So that is a hold 3. Yeah, and you may hold some of these questions, and I will allow these questions to be held for read a bad situations in regards to rooms of the house on the hill.
Okay. I would also, at this point, since I rolled so wonderfully, I will open up my third eye.
What?
And
See, that's why I was
Oh.
thinking that you could keep the sight open. Was the third
yeah,
eye
that's
thing.
different. The sight is different
Yeah.
than the third eye. The third eye gives me an extra +1 hold on any result of 7 or more. Plus, I can see invisible things.
Right.
On a miss, I didn't miss, so I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
So
So,
I have a +1 and I can see invisible.
all right. So it's not that you are seeing the invisible, but there are a couple of other people other than the three of you that are moving between the sitting room and the grand hall. And you can see the outline beneath them. And it's all like matrix code. It's all that green and black matrix flow of information.
Interesting. And for my actual ask for the investigative mystery, what is being concealed here?
So, you,
One of my
on the way
holes.
to the sitting room to find Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, you examine one of these suits of armor, the one where you thought you heard a slight clank. And even as you do, a rat, not a mouse, a rat, like a solid foot long, scrabbles from behind it and then into a hole in the wall.
Any disturbance in the Matrix?
It appears to be a real rat.
I hope people got that, like, cross-reference, because
That
I
was
was going for,
extremely-
disturbance in the Force and
Yes.
change of the Matrix. Okay, good.
There's no crossing of the streams here, please.
Yes.
Let me open to the Matrix section of the Shadowrun.
So other than no signs of that then necessarily, other than just the oddity in that area.
Right. The sound appears to have been created by a creature, a rat. A very large rat.
Well, I guess I don't have to ask what sort of creature it is.
You can save the others for later, and I recommend that you do, actually.
Yeah, that's I'm actually going to save my other two holds.
Oh, look. Time for another break. Oh, wait, there was some dripping.
You're empty in the...
Oh. Hopefully not on the keyboard
No.
or the microphone or anything else. I lost Patrick. Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
So you have paused, Piers, to examine this thing. What about the other two of you? Did you pause as well, or have you continued on into the sitting room?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Walk
I
in.
think I was after Piers, so I would have, seen him stopping to look around and also kind of, followed suit, see what I can see.
Okay. So, Piers, I guess you're still in the lead. What do you wish to do?
Great. Ghosts. Vermin. Continue on.
All right. The sitting room is only a few steps away. So you enter. There are, as I said, still several people here. Not as many as before. But Agatha Christie is still pouring drinks. And there is a fellow holding court, it appears, with Henry James and Shirley Jackson. And he does appear to have the look about him of someone who might be named Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
I believe he has a
and
moustache.
what I'm saying is that that ghosts are of course a thing. I don't even know why the question has arisen this night. As well as Houdini himself, although he protested until his dying day, he created acts of actual magic. He might have tried to explain them away, but could you imagine anyone escaping from the things that he escaped from? No, of course not. It was magic despite his use of so-called trickery. I can't even...
I can't even recall the last time somebody actually said that if it's true magic, that is the best trick of all.
Indeed, exactly. That is what I'm trying to get at. Good evening, sir. My name is Arthur Conan Doyle. You may call me Artie.
Very nice to meet you, Artie. You can call me Piers.
Piers.
So, how well did you know Mr. Houdini?
Oh, quite well. We were great friends for some time, although we did have a falling out later on over his insistence that there is no such thing as the supernatural. I have been to many a seance, and I understand that we are promised one tonight, led by you. If you are, I don't recognize you offhand, and therefore you must be those who are called in to aid Madame de Esperance in her activities.
Yes, and any advice you can give as we go forward would be greatly appreciated. I would say, I mean, if anybody could escape death, I think it would be Mr. Harry Houdini himself.
Well, of course, and he promised to do so. I just feel that we have not, perhaps, asked in the right ways.
Well, if as you say, he did have a disbelief in the supernatural, maybe he actually trapped himself.
Well, it could
Without
be.
the belief
That
in the
is,
supernatural, how
see,
could
this
he
is,
escape?
he turns to Henry James and says, "This is exactly what I was saying." And Henry James goes,
I love that. Well, I picture like a big bushy like mustache like moving as he does that. Yeah.
So, although normally clean-shaven, Henry James currently has a large bushy mustache. It's possible he didn't have one right before you wanted that to be the case. But you're not quite sure. It seems unclear now. You weren't paying attention to Henry James.
Yeah.
Unless you want to use one of your holds.
No, I was paying attention to Arthur's reaction.
Okay. So
I might have missed whatever Mr. James was doing.
yes. Henry James is an older gent, perhaps in his late 40s, perhaps even mid-50s. It's kind of hard to tell. He wears, currently wearing small round spectacles, the type that are of the pince-nez form, where it's just on the nose and does not have the arm pieces. He is wearing a black suit with a white collar that comes out just enough to emphasize the kind of gauntness of his face, the inset darkness of his eyes, the receding hairline. So, what do you do?
Yes, Mr. Conan Doyle. Artie, I have a question. I understand that several seances were attempted to contact Mr. Houdini after his death, and surely you must have known about or at least been present for some of them. And my understanding is that they all failed. Can you tell us a little bit about what kinds of things they contained? Because this must needs be I'm talking like an old-timey person. This should be a seance unlike any that have come before it, so we should start from a position of knowing what the previous ones contained.
Yes. So, in previous seances, the attempts were made, of course, by notable psychics, ones that I have personal knowledge of as being quite powerful, quite potent. And yet, I feel, upon reflection, upon looking back upon all of these times, I think that what we have missed were two key things. We need something of Houdini's, something that really calls to him. And we thought it was his wife, but I believe that more so it is his rope. And I have some here this evening. The man, you, sir, And suddenly the tall man is there. Yes. You have the thing that I brought? Yes. And the tall man raises a silver platter upon which is a length of rope, just long enough to bind the hands of someone the size of Harry Houdini. But it's not just that. No, I believe we have been calling to the wrong person, you see. We've been calling to Harry Houdini. But in death, are you not filled with a certain truth of self, I suppose? Harry was not born Harry Houdini. Harry was born Eric Weiss. That was the name that he grew with, the name of his childhood. Is that not how, even if we try to deny it, is that not who we are? As much as we try to give away our childhood, heaven knows.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's perfectly capable to grow out of who you were as a child, although you might remember such a person with fondness as yourself. It can be a name with which you no longer identify.
But what if Harry did?
It's not been tried before.
And it has not been tried before. You may be correct. Perhaps when he took on his stage name, he left Eric Weiss behind completely. But it is not, I think, one of those cases of, misidentity, where you take your truth. I think that Harry Houdini was always his stage name, was always the mask with which he projected to the world himself. And in his self, I think he was Eric Weiss. But this is just, oh, look, the dog barks from somewhere in the house. There is, I think, a chance that is the route that must be taken. But I am, again, merely a dabbler in the arts spectrum. So you all must, of course, do as your initiative requires. And now we must also let the keeper go and close the door, which somehow the dogs have opened. I'll be right back.
Wait, who let the dogs out?
Who could have done such a thing?
Oh, dang it. Such a horrible... I don't know.
They have learned how to use the doorknob.
That's terrifying, Patrick.
I don't think they have. I think I didn't get it closed quite far enough.
Hark, the barking of the hounds. They call to us.
So, what do you do?
So, let me get this straight. You've had this rope and you haven't used it before.
No.
You had the knowledge of his actual name and you didn't try using that before.
No.
Well, I think that's a big key to the puzzle. I mean, words
died.
Have power. All of us here, all of us here know how much words have power. I mean, I'll quote Billy, that dumbass down the hall. A rose by any other name will still smell as sweet. I think using...
Well, that's very profound. That sounds like Shakespeare.
Actual...
He's just down the hall, you know.
I believe using Mr. Houdini's actual name and a item of great import to this man would help greatly.
At which the tall man produces from within his long coat a small hammer, and he lifts up.
Ring a little bell.
He lifts up the platter upon which was the rope, in which he has handed now to Mr. King, and he strikes the platter with his hammer, and a great deep gonging goes out throughout the house. Gong. Not the small silvery sound you might expect from the platter itself. And he says, "Yes, the seance shall begin in 10 minutes in the library." And then he recedes out the door of the sitting room, backwards.
In a way, I want him to do all the actions backwards too as he moves out, speaking and everything.
He's like a character in the Haunted Mansion, where he just like on his little track.
Or maybe we're going backwards through time. We're the ones in reverse, and he's the only one moving forward correctly. Did I mention I'm switching to Christopher Nolan?
What are you doing during all of this, K.A. Applegate?
Yes, I have 2 more questions for Mr. Conan Doyle. First,
Yes, I'm right here.
Yes. Who is Madame Esperance?
Oh, she is one of the great psychics of my time.
Okay. I forgot my other question. What do you think the end is? Like, what is the idea behind all of this? For what purpose are we summoning Harry Houdini as opposed to anyone else?
Well,
what do you think our host will get out of this?
A host? I mean, I was going to answer in terms of what I hope to get out of it, which is, 1, to prove Houdini wrong, but also to look, mortality weighs upon us. Existence weighs upon us in a different way. We wish to exist. We wish to exist in happiness, of course, but we wish to exist. We wish to be, we wish to know that there is something that goes on, for we see the mortal realm. We see this all around us, this flesh of ours, and hope and pray that there is something more. And those who have religion, they have the faith in the afterlife. But some of us wish the proof of the afterlife. As far as our host, well, I know not our host all that well, but perhaps, from what I do know, something slightly different as what he said when greeting me earlier this evening, which was a proof of, I said, different consciousness is the words that he used. Of a being, of an existence that isn't as we think of it, as you and I know it, as living, thinking, breathing creatures of God.
Yes, Jesse?
Nothing. I was like, in my mind, I went somewhere else and it doesn't relate. But I was like, why does it got to be about God? I mean, I'm not saying it's aliens.
I mean, he's over there going.
I'm not saying it's aliens.
He's like, oh my God, why does it have to be about God?
Yeah. That's what it was. But anyway, please continue.
Well, that's my statement. I've made my speech.
And I have one last question for you, Mr. Artie. If we were to
Sir Artie, please.
Sir Artie, if we were to perform this seance and it could be said to have failed in its goal, what do you think that would look like?
Well, like the others, where nothing happens. Or worse, where there is some sort of trickery. There are frauds out there, but Madame d'Espérance is not one of them.
No, I have dogs. I'm
no matter about that incident in 1880 with Yolanda.
How did the young Yolanda fare in said encounter?
Well, you know the story where Madame brought forth the spirit of Yolanda, and one of the people sitting around the table grabbed Yolanda and was supposedly turned out to be Madame d'Espérance herself. But, of course, that's hardly a matter here. She is primarily known for her great feats of psychicness.
Those include? Oh, of psychicness.
Of course. Like a psychic.
Not her large feet, but her great feats of psychic abilities. And especially with the seance, knockings and voices from her that could not be produced by a woman of her stature. Of course not. I'm Victorian.
New t-shirts. I'm Victorian.
I'm Victorian, the Gothic Podcast, Season 3.
That has nothing to do with Gothic Podcast Season 3, but it'd be really funny.
Well, it looks like Agatha has another drink ready. I'm going to go over there, and then I believe that we only have a few minutes left before the seance is to start. I'm not sure how you are supposed to help. Perhaps you should go and inquire with Madame d'Espérance as to how you will aid her, because I know that our host, and he says host with a capital H. You can hear it. Our host has indicated that you are pivotal to this whole process.
Well, I feel like we should definitely learn more. Maybe we move along and talk to this Madame Esperanza? Yes.
Esperance.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I always add more syllables and words to all of my writings, so I had a few extra to my speech as well.
More words and syllables. Real good. So, does anyone think that they would know anything about Madame d'Espérance?
I bet I could make an argument. I mean, I asked in character who is Madame Espérance, so
I might know a little bit.
Well, you did, but that doesn't necessarily mean you don't have the knowledge yourself. Just seeing where it compared with true. What Conan Doyle was saying. You are the expert, after all.
Yeah. I think it would make sense. I was going to try and make an argument for knowing more generally about seances and how they work, but yeah.
Well, there's that too. I mean, those are not mutually exclusive necessarily. But I would say there's a fair chance that you are the expert. You do have a fair bit of knowledge as to the paranormal and the supernatural. And so I will give you, K.A. Applegate, whatever it is you wish to pull from the Wikipedia page for Madame d'Espérance.
Okay.
Including that she was born Elizabeth Jane Puttock.
I guess just can I get like a general outline of like what she's famous for and what kinds of things she was involved with?
Yeah, so she did automatic writing, where you take on the sort of glazed look, and then you write
Hmm.
with your hand writes out things that are not driven by your own volition. She did table turning, which of course is the big seance thing where the table rocks around and there's knockings on it. She also could bring up um, spirits in seances in the table turning aspects, ghostly figures, and it was during one of those instances where a spirit called Yolanda materialized and looked all spooky and creepy, presumably. But one of the people sitting around the table, who wasn't supposed to be breaking handholds with everybody else, reached out to grab Yolanda, but
Hmm.
it turned out to be, in the darkness, it turned out to be Madame de Esperance herself, who was kind of dressed up as and creating this effect.
Gotcha. Okay, so she was found on at least one occasion to have been falsifying the results of her seance.
Right.
Interesting.
Okay.
And
Well,
her most famous thing, perhaps, though, was that she claimed to have dematerialized the lower part of her body, while only her head and stomach remained during one session.
Seems reasonable. Yeah.
And, but the room, again, quite dark in
yeah,
these instances,
yeah.
as presumably so will be the library. And it is that time, as you all start filing toward, at the behest of the tall man, toward the library and the seance, that we take a 5-minute break. So here I have to hit my 3 buttons as Jesse snuck off to do his break.
To handle some dogs.
So here we go into break mode.
I feel left out.
And
I should get a dog too.
Or just bring out your rat and show all
Bring out my
the
rat.
listeners. Yeah. All of the watch
3 and 4.
We have live Twitch.
We are live again. Live for Act 2 of the Gothic Podcast Halloween Horror Special. Woo-hoo.
Numero dos.
So it's the second act of the episode, but my third act of filling this large Michael Myers cup up with tequila and Coke. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
Remember, kids, drink responsibly.
And we are live. I think we should use that. That's
Oh, we should definitely. And we are
supervision.
are live.
You know, I'm actually going to miss 10 Candles this holiday season.
I've quite gotten to like 10 Candles.
I like 10 Candles for our stuff. Maybe a New Year's, but we've never done a New Year's special or a Valentine's Day special. So maybe some
Valentine's
other
Day
holiday we will find the time to do 5 hours of 10 Candles.
I love the idea of a Valentine's special
I
like
think
that.
Valentine's
Because it's
Day,
like,
10
my
candles
love
would be
burns
great.
for you.
Yeah. And also, yeah.
It could
That'd
be
be
like on
great.
the beach. Okay.
Anyway,
The longest walk on the beach.
Yeah. All right. I'm already getting ideas for this, so this is going to happen.
Hell yeah.
open up your notepad, add that in, and then let's continue.
You make your way to the library of the house on the hill. Again, led by the tall man who has discarded his silver platter at some point. He walks there, and it is strange, Piers and Stephen. You both see things beyond the ordinary, beyond the known. This is not seeable by your human eyes, but by whatever spirit eyes you have. You see hovering around the tall man 3 spheres. They're, again, kind of ghostly in your vision, but you see them there, circling him, almost in reverence. Almost like if this were a D&D game, Ion Stones. But you see those, and they fill you with a certain amount of dread, depending upon what your movie knowledge is for your characters.
For the character.
Yeah.
Me personally, love Phantasm. And yes, if I saw 3 floaty spears around some tall, creepy guy with, of the description that you described earlier, then I would freak out. Piers... Other than the odd glitch in the Matrix, is at this point going to keep like a solid side eye at what's going on with the situation with him.
And I mean, I almost all but know absolutely that Stephen King knows the references, knows
most definitely.
the tall man, knows the spheres.
Like almost to the point where he seems completely unfazed. You can't tell if he's just used to it, if it somehow makes sense to him, or if maybe he's just somewhat disbelieving at this point and letting things play out. But yeah, clearly everything he's like, He seems to look at it with some sort of acceptance.
The library is large. You feel the books more than see them in their shelves that rise up to the ceiling some 20 feet above. It's lost in darkness. Maybe it goes on forever. It's hard to know. But all the walls of this room are covered by books. There are those high rolling ladders that can be moved around to access the higher levels of books. But it is not that is the focal point. That's the weight that presses in upon you. The stories in all of those books. But the mustiness in the air, that smell of the library, those aren't the things that draw your immediate attention. It is the round table that has been set up in the middle of the room. That large table accommodating 11 figures, 11 chairs arrayed around the table. Is there something special about the number 11? I don't know. I'm merely the narrator. But around the table are 11 chairs, and starting to sit in them are the arrayed people of literary merit who are here this evening, and one other. So there is Agatha Christie. She settles in with a martini in hand. There is Billy Shakespeare. There is
that's Mr. Snake's beard.
There is a figure that you know if you are in the horror genre at all, H.P. Lovecraft. Kind of sneering at those around him. There is Henry James, who you've already seen, Shirley Jackson, Mary Shelley, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And then there is a woman, and she is talking, leaning across the empty seat next to her. There are 3 empty seats, but they're not all together. They're scattered around the table. One of those empty seats is next to her, and then Shirley Jackson is in the seat next to that. And this woman with short, kind of unwashed, wild black hair curled in the front across her brow, rather old-fashioned even in this company, clothing upon her body, clothing perhaps meant to elicit with its lace and its brooches a feeling of the past, even to those of the 19th century. She leans across and she's chatting with Shirley Jackson, who is not of the 19th century. And the other chairs that are open, there is one between Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Henry James. And there is a space between Agatha Christie and Billy Shakespeare. Do you take seats? And if so, where?
Can you remind me between who and who was the first chair open?
So between who you assume is Madame de Esperance and Shirley Jackson. And there is a space between Agatha Christie and William Shakespeare. And then there is a space between... Who was the other space between? H.P. Lovecraft.
And Shakespeare.
No, it was between Agatha Christie and Shakespeare.
And then Arthur Conan Doyle and James.
Yeah.
I'll claim the one between Agatha Christie and Shakespeare if nobody else wants it.
Okay.
I kind of want the one between Madame Esperance and Shirley Jackson.
And only because I have questions on Doyle's motives. I'm going to go with between Doyle and James.
Okay.
Can I do a quick examination of the table and see if I can spot any pre-set up fraudulent mechanisms or anything underneath or concealed by the legs or anything like that?
How obvious do you want to be?
I would like to be subtle. And this is also, I want to be before I sit down in my chair. So, as I'm walking towards the table, maybe give it a good circle,
Like,
Just
are
saying
you doing
hi to
the
people.
drop something?
On your way around, drop something accidentally. That kind of thing.
The bend and snap.
Do you wish to use your special power of morphing into a strange animal?
Yeah, I morph into a starfish. No, I'm kidding. You didn't know I could do that, did you? No,
I had hoped. I could only hope that you could morph into a starfish.
I did debate being a monstrous and being a shapeshifter, but I've played the monstrous so many times. I want to be subtle about it. I want to be walking slowly, looking around as if at the library, which I'm also legitimately looking at the library. But if this is to be a genuine seance and not one which is debunked by grabbing a spirit's leg or whatever, then I want to make sure that we're not dealing with fraudulent equipment.
Okay. So are you... I mean, it sounds to me like you're more looking for things that are concealed rather than dangers. So
Yeah.
that sounds like an investigate a mystery to me.
Okay. That
Roll
is...
plus sharp.
I can't even read one of my dice. Okay, it is a 9.
I demand that everyone start rolling their bone dice again. Well, Richard doesn't have any bone dice. Sorry, you weren't with us for season 1.
Just so you know,
Oh, there they are.
here are the bone dice.
My bone
Purchased
dice
at a lovely
roll terribly.
place here in
Portland.
Portland. They are, in fact, cow bones, not human.
I went
How
with the
disappointing.
bone theme for
Woo!
Halloween.
Nice. Jesse, for those of you who are listening to the podcast version of this rather than the video YouTube version or live on Twitch, Jesse has a skeleton T-shirt that he's wearing and was just wearing a skull mask. I had a mask. It's now in the
T-shirt is
background
very good.
of my picture, but I couldn't breathe through it, and you can't hear me talk on the audio through it. So now it's just a head.
Patrick, why don't you go put it on?
No, I'm hoping to use it as lucky stuff for the game, because it goes with the bone dice.
That's how you get the Bane voice. Welcome to the Gothic Podcast.
I did some recordings. You could hear me, but it was distorted. It wasn't in a cool, distorted way. It was just sort of distorted. So I thought about it, but then I couldn't breathe in it either. So it's a great mask, but I'm just going to have to scare kids with it on Halloween. So,
As a fan of Jimi Hendrix, we could all use a little distortion, man.
where were we? Yes.
The library, taking seats.
Ms. Applegate, what did you get?
I got a 9 total for Investigate a Mystery.
Right. So ask your question.
Well, that, like you said, I think that sounds like a what is being concealed here. So I want specifically to be looking for fraudulent equipment.
Seems to make the most sense. And so as you do your surreptitious meander about, you see a few things. One, there is a string, very thin, almost unseeable, especially in the dark, attached to a chair, to a table leg, to to Madame Esperance's foot, to her boot, to her very Victorian laced-up white boot. You also see that there is some sort of contraption that she has underneath the table right next to her. You're not sure what it does, but it looks like a syringe type setup, but a big, like, metal syringe with a big plunger on it of some sort.
She's gonna coat us all in maple syrup.
It is attached to the underside of the table. It can't be detached easily, it appears.
Okay.
Maple syrup?
Those are the things you see as you take your seat between Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Henry James. And the others of you also take your seat. There is some murmuring going on. Is there any conversations you wish to have here in the moments before the seance begins? The lights are low. There's only candles on the table.
We can hear you, Jesse.
I can't hear you, Jesse, because I'm talking over you.
Please continue to talk over me.
Proceed, Piers.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to ask a couple of my other holds. And are there any dangers we haven't noticed? Like, as a cautious look around, I'm like, really, like, intense, squinty eye. What is going on?
So, dangers you haven't noticed. What are you interpreting as dangers?
I mean, I've already got a side eye going on Tall Man and the floaty orbs.
Right.
With a glance around at Esperanza as well as Doyle, and a quick sweep of anybody else at this moment, unless something stands out, if I still have that third eye thing going for me.
You do. And this is your second hold, right, of 3?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Piers, yes, you are mostly able to see the gathered folk as they are supposed to appear, as their selves. But now and again, you allow it, or it just happens, you see them flicker, and the covering, the humanness of them is exposed to be that matrix-like flow of information scattering across them. And normally, I mean, most of the time that has been green, but as they sit and talk, occasionally it flickers red.
with each of them or specific ones?
Not specific, just randomly around the room.
Okay.
And this includes Madame d'Esperance, by the way, because you had not met her before, but she is exhibiting the same not real, holographic, existence as the other authors here.
What about the compatriots as well? I don't know if I could look at my own hand and see that same kind of flicker.
No, you do not.
What about the compatriots?
It's not that you can't. You can look at your hand. It's a hand. I mean, it's...
But I don't have that vision with the flickering red.
Right.
But I don't have the other vision either.
Right. And so for the others, it's the... All right. So imagine the Matrix and imagine the, imagine when, somebody, is looking at the scattering of the code and how it's that green on black. The black is still there, but the code turns red occasionally. While when you look at your own hand, you just see a hand like you always have.
Okay. Interest. And maybe just as a side, interesting, as I sit next to Mr. Arthur Conan Doyle and Sir James, or Mr. James.
I have something I'd like to try, if possible. Mr. King would like to settle into his seat, get comfortable, and look around at the audience around him, most specifically Miss Christie and Bill.
Oh, hello.
And he would like to...
I'm Julia Childs.
No, you've got me mistaken with someone. I'm Agatha Christie. I'm obviously a British, practically house mom who didn't at all disappear for some time with no idea of what happened to me.
Oh, I'm sure it's fine.
Agatha Christie for season 4.
I'm not saying it was aliens.
That's saying it's
Oh, it was totally aliens.
It was quite possibly just aliens.
Oh.
But Mr. King would like to not reach out with his sight this time, but reach out with his mind and use a little telepathy to see if he can't read the thoughts of those around him and learn some vital information. Perhaps investigate a mystery.
Well, what are you trying to learn? I mean, what is it you're looking for? Or do you even know?
By talking, or do you just do it by observing?
No, I can do it without doing anything. I don't actually need to talk. I can just read their minds.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
I can also put words in their minds, but I'm not going to do that at the moment. So you could actually use it to manipulate someone if I wanted to.
Okay.
So I'm looking for, first of all, do they have thoughts?
Yeah.
I hope so, because they've written some great stuff.
In this case, that seems to be relevant, whether or not they do have thought. Mostly, I'm looking for their thoughts on this situation. So actually, maybe I'm going to look at read a bad situation.
You're not. You're looking at what's being concealed here. And so that's investigate a mystery.
Okay.
Although there's consequences. So actually what I want you to do is roll act under pressure. Now, Sojourners, those of you listening, we are, and I haven't even told the cast about this yet. Well, they know part of this. There are 2 rules that we are changing from the standard Monster of the Week rules. One of them is act under pressure. If you get a 7 to 9, I use critical. I use the critic. I can't speak. I use the crit show rules of I give you 3 choices. The cast already knew that. If there's a help out, however, we're going to use the rules for a game called Starhold. So if anybody chooses to help out on a roll, if you successfully help out, then the person being helped gets to re-roll their lowest die.
That's cool.
Nice.
So those are the 2 rules that we are changing for this game. So anyway, I want you to do act under pressure, where if you get a 7 to 9, I will give you 3 choices. If you get a 10 plus, it'll be a full success. 6 minus, consequences.
All right. Well, let's see how this goes. I've rolled hot so far. We'll see if it continues. Or
it's still hot.
That's a good roll.
That's still not bad.
Shabby.
Unfortunately, I don't get to add anything to that, so it's just the straight 9.
Straight 9. All right. So unless somebody thinks they can help out, because, I mean, he's reading somebody's minds, I don't really see how anybody can help out with that.
No.
Minds of other people are scary.
I'm going to give you some options. You will be able to whose mind specifically?
Well, to narrow it down, I'm looking at Miss Christie and Billy since they're close to me.
Okay. You're going to be able to get something, but it's actually going to like burn its way through your psyche, and it's going to cause you one harm.
Well,
armor defeating. In case you have armor. In case Stephen King wore armor to the to the house on the hill.
I was hoping he had plot armor, but
you could definitely wear plot armor for this game, but only if your playbook allows it. Or you will get these thoughts, but so will everyone else in the room as you sort of project. Or you will get these thoughts, but you will lose the ability to read thoughts for a period of time. Not the entire adventure remaining, but for a while now, because it will just sort of overwhelm you.
All right. I'm going to invoke the rule of fun here, even though this is not the easiest choice, but I'm going to take the harm.
Okay. So there is a backlash. It is.
What were you hoping for, Jesse, there? Oh,
I couldn't actually hear Jesse. I don't know what he was saying.
Are you muted, Jesse?
You're fine. Go ahead.
Oh.
No,
Okay.
I just was really hoping that the everybody else heard it too would have been hilarious.
That would have been funny. Yeah.
That would have been hilarious. Not necessarily narratively, but yeah.
So you reach out with your mind, and suddenly all you get is static. It's like this vast, impenetrable wall of static, but through which you hear words. But that static is so hard, it's so difficult to comprehend that it causes you mental distress. It causes you mental agony, in fact. And in fact, you physically wince and stagger and fall into your chair as you go into it, taking this mental harm. And yet, what impressions you get are weird. It's like there's an algorithm at work, that what you're hearing isn't a person's thoughts. It's the options for thought. It's all of the possibilities of response to input.
The possibility of thought seems like a condemnation of America at the moment. But interesting. So the evil here is Mark Zuckerberg. Got it. We're all in meta. All right. Well, I have marked down the harm, and so noted that didn't go as well as planned, but also did go well. So,
I mean, there's no real information you're getting, but
right.
You're getting all the possible responses to questions, to things going on, to what's going on around them. And these possibilities are individualized. So for Agatha Christie, it's different than for Shakespeare.
So would you say that what I'm hearing aren't thoughts? I'm not reading thought, but I am reading I just had a really good way of saying this, and now I've lost it. I am reading the process that would lead to thoughts to a certain degree, but the things that we don't normally think about or consider where something just occurs, I'm seeing that kind of a background processing to a degree.
Yes. And it's moving at incredible speeds. The processing of these potentials is just, it's just like, wow. It's just like massively fast.
Okay. The picture I'm getting in my head, or the sound I'm hearing in my head actually, is an AOL sign-in log-up. Landline sign-up that is sped up like times what, like 3?
Oh my God.
Sure, go for that. Yeah.
Or
Except
like
with
fax,
words
when you fax something and
it.
you hear the
No. Absolutely, except that there are also words in there. All
I love it.
the words.
I
hate that.
love that. I love that thought.
All right.
That's
so you all sit
disturbing.
down, and Madame d'Esperance says, "Yes, now we are here to draw forth the spirit of Harry Houdini. Does anyone have anything that they wish to include in the summoning that will bring forth Mr. Houdini?"
Mr. King rolls his eyes and produces the rope.
Ah, excellent. She reaches out, and it is passed to her.
And the true name, as I like whip my head and look back over at Arthur Conan Doyle. God.
Oh yeah, yes.
Sir Doyle.
We used to use Harry's real name. His name of youth, Eric Weiss. Yes, Eric Weiss. And this rope, we shall summon you, Eric, from the beyond. We shall bring you forward. Clasp hands, everyone. Clasp hands. Do you?
Sure.
Yeah. What do they feel like?
Feel like hands.
Cool.
No, warmish.
Clasping of the hand.
Some sweatier than others, but
Ew.
that's what they feel like. And
Moist.
Madame d'Esperance says, "You must all focus on our friend, on he who has passed beyond. Eric, come to us, Eric. Come to us. Weiss, Eric Weiss, known as Harry Houdini. Come to us. Come to us."
I just had a Frankenfurter moment there with Eric Weiss. I wanted to be like Janet Weiss.
The table rocks. K.A., you know that this is probably from the string attached to her foot. A fog rises from the center of the table. Again, K.A., the syringe. Something in it, a combined chemical perhaps, creating a fog. Do you do anything, K.A.?
I don't think I can do anything about the fog, but could I, under the table, reach out a foot and wind the thread around it and just like stamp it to the, well, not stamp, but like hold it taut to the floor so that when she's tugging on the thread, the table doesn't move?
Sure. Act under pressure.
Okay. 10.
Wow. You guys are doing so well.
Oh, don't
So,
worry.
yeah,
The dice
you-
will turn eventually.
Actually,
You succeed.
I love it when, yeah.
Love it when a plan comes together.
And I'm paying attention to everyone else's reaction around the table.
There is disbelief. There's astonishment. There's confusion. There's a variety pack of emotions going on around the table. But you press your foot against the string, and the string snaps. And the table keeps rocking.
Huh. Okay.
By the way, Piers, I keep saying Piers, like it's Pierce Brosnan.
That would have been a
Piers-
much cooler
Let's-
role
let's
to
do
play.
actors next,
Mr. James
Patrick.
Bond.
Piers, when you came in and you opened your third eye to everything, the room itself was not those rolling ideas of numbers and such. It wasn't the algorithms. The room is solid. The room is itself,
The
as far
people.
as you can tell.
Yeah.
The table is real. The chairs are real. It's just the people are iffy. And so right now the table is rocking. What do you do?
The table seems to be real. Oh wow. And there's no I don't want to use my other. I don't want to burn my other hold yet. Okay, I will myself attempt to, just curious to see if we are all monsters in this world, attempt to summon a monster into the world and use the
What?
same things that Madame Esperanza is using in the same condition that we are using, and trying to
Interesting.
let's
So
see
you
how
are
far we want to go with this.
you are the spell slinger. How do you see your magic working?
It is very gestural. It's almost like a strange dance, like a fast Tai Chi.
So are you more
So-
Doctor Strange or
Waterbender.
Okay.
Waterbender?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say take something between Doctor Strange and anime. Because I
So
went
where does your
mostly
magic
force energy.
come from? How do you see
Most of my magic comes from myself, but I've learned to use elements that are around me. It's a force-based kind of chi magic,
Okay. All right.
or ki, depending
So
on.
you are
which,
trying
know.
to bring a monster into the world to replicate what's going on here. Please, please, please roll a 6 or below.
I know. I'm hoping for it too. I want this so bad, and that's the only reason I did it. I wanna see what happens. I was like, well, what if I use my energy?
As he accidentally summons in Houdini.
Is it a
You got
6?
you got boxcars, didn't you?
No, I got a 1
Ah.
and a 1.
Oh, nice.
8. No matter how many plus I get on that,
No, that's not going to do anything.
still a fail. But I was also attempting magic, so
Okay.
there will be glitches.
No. There's not glitches.
Oh, no.
This
It
is a
just doesn't
6 or
happen.
less.
It just doesn't. Oh, I choose
No.
the effect.
No. When you do
Yeah.
use
Glitches-
magic and
glitches
you
on
get a
7 and
6 or
9.
below, you mark experience, and bad things happen.
Things happen. I
Oh,
love
no,
it.
great.
I
All right.
love this.
That's the bone.
So,
Oh,
what does it look like when you do this? What are you doing, like at the table? Because you're all holding hands. So, and Jesse puts on his mask.
yes.
Yes, because I want this.
So
to
tell me
feel
how it
right.
looks to lead up to this.
Okay. Leading up to this, everything starts happening. Everything seems real. Except there's a difference between the visual aspect and the people aspect. I want to attempt to mesh the two, and this is not how it goes. And I throw some gesticulations in the air with my arms waving in fun patterns, and like focusing different points. Like if you think of energy points in the body and there's the surrounding energy, they start to swirl, and like this dim light starts to just kind of like coalesce into a point in the center of my chest. And it's like, let's try this again. And I reach back out and grab the hands next to me. Hopefully nobody has broken the chain yet, and just a pure kind of attitude, and hopefully pushing that energy forward and drawing from the beyond so that it really coalesces above the table in front of us.
All right. It does not.
Damn
The
it.
table explodes.
Oh dear.
Shards of it, not shards isn't quite the right word. It doesn't explode into splinters. It explodes into large pieces. So Piers Anthony does this. He makes these gestures. He calls for it. He says, "This isn't the way. This is the way." And then the table buckles in the middle, and it breaks apart into pieces as it explodes upward, but almost in slow motion. You see it exploding upward and outward. Shakespeare, his head is sliced off by a piece that goes flying through him, and suddenly his whole body dissipates, not in a bloody way, but in the way that now that the skin is broken, you all see, not just with your weird sight, but you all see the algorithms running below it. And then all of that is gone as this piece of table goes through him and takes his head off and takes out the rest of his body. You see the room slow as people try to leap away from the table that is exploding outward. You see Madame Esperance. She leaps back in horror, her foot still attached by rope, even though K.A. Applegate has a foot on that rope. Madame Esperance falls back. She stumbles. She falls to the ground, sprawling across it. There are others. Shirley Jackson spills her drink. I've been kind of mean to Shirley. I have no idea if Shirley Jackson she might even be a teetotaler. But Sir Arthur Conan Doyle pushes his chair back. His eyes are wide. His face is in a position of a visage of rapture, because he's seeing the truth of the beyond here. And for those of you with the sight of any sort, Stephen King, Piers Anthony, not Pierce, Piers Anthony. The flesh of all of the other attendees vanishes, and now all you see is the algorithm. But it's kind of different for the tall man. He becomes more real. His fears become more real and visible to everyone, including K.A. Applegate. and a voice resonates throughout the space. It's Vincent Price's voice, even though I do it badly. What have you done? And then we will take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back in a few to the third and final act of the Halloween horror special of the Gothic Podcast.
We'll be right back, everybody.
We'll be right back as I try to hit all of the right buttons.
Sound is
Let's
activated.
check on Zoom.
I should have sound.
Hello,
Everybody
and
should
we're
have
back.
sound.
I said Zoom again. I meant Twitch. Sorry.
You did what?
All right. Twitch is good. Twitch has sound.
Are you hearing my sound as well as your sound?
Yep.
I mean, because they're separate.
We are
They're on
hearing
separate
the
feeds.
sound.
So. Is there still music? Is there everything? Is everything happening?
Yes.
Everything's
Yes.
good.
There's still music. Everything's fine.
Remember back when we first started
Sound check
this, that
complete.
on Twitch, I like felt so, it was so important to have everything so clean that it was like perfect transitions from breaks to back to the show and everything. Now it's like, yeah, we'll just chat for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just
What else
chat
is
for
Twitch
a while.
for, really?
So at this point, people who are good at OBS are practically a career.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, it's,
Yeah.
I've got it so streamlined now that I thought that I had it where I could just hit a button here and there and everything would be fine. But no,
Nope.
we have
3
learned
buttons.
differently. It's fine. It's fine. It's
There's
all fine.
more
It's all fine.
buttons.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's
The meme of the guy
fine.
with the sweat on his brow trying to pick which button to press.
I still always think about the one of the little dogs saying "This is fine" as the building is burning down. Only
Yes.
somebody's written in the speech bubble instead of "This is fine." I have work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, it's fine. It's all fine.
it's everything's fine.
Except it's not fine.
Everything's
The table has just exploded. The
Mr. Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare has just
Shake me a spear.
evaporated. The
I love that he was
others
decapitated
are
by a table.
flickering between algorithm and personage.
Analog?
And a great voice has just boomed through the room, Vincent Price's voice, saying, "What have you done?" And the tall man has become somehow more solid, more
tall.
tall. And he turns and he says, "The master is not happy with you." And one of those balls of silver comes flashing toward you, spell spinner, Piers Anthony. And as it does, you see the blade flick out like a switchblade in front of it. A long, curved knife blade. Holes in it to allow the blood to flow. And it's coming straight for you. What do you do, Piers Anthony?
You see like a blur of movement as the arms like flip around and go into a cross motion and push forward as he says, "No!" And I create a wall of force.
Nice.
Lovely. So tell me how that works.
I just did.
It just happens.
It just works.
You're talking about the mechanicals
The
of it.
mechanics.
It's a
of that,
use
huh?
magic, right? Yeah,
+1 armor to a wall, and the wall also 1 harm magic barrier, close 1 armor, obvious, it's loud.
All
So,
right.
It's
I mean,
loud.
when it appears around me, there is a concussion to the air that just kind of expands outwards, and there's like a
Okay.
and
Cool.
there's a wall of force that appears around me that gives me a 1 armor.
Okay. And the silvery spear. Wow, I really pronounced the P on that one. The silvery sphere, the blade on it hits that barrier, and the whole thing starts to vibrate. The sphere does, and it starts to come through. Meanwhile, what are you doing, K.A. Applegate?
I guess I would have throw myself out of the way of the exploding table, first things first. But everything... So am I also seeing everyone look like algorithms now?
They are flickering back and forth.
Okay. And the voice that said, "What have you done?" did not come necessarily from the tall man, but the tall man's
No, it absolutely did not. It was Vincent Price's voice.
Right. But he's the only, like, personage who appears to be solid who's present in the room, right?
Right, yes. Who is not flickering into algorithms.
Yeah. That's a great question.
By the way, I have a new punk band name.
Flickering into algorithms.
That's a great one too, but I was thinking incorporeal voices.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I like that. I want to. So what I really want to do is see if I can figure out the root of what's going on, and I'm not sure what role that would be, so I'm gonna let you figure that out. But I want to
read a bad situation.
Okay, cool. Just taking into account everything that's happened, everything that's happening now, and the new information that's come to light. I want to figure out, like, the root cause of all of this stuff. And there it is. Read a bad situation is sharp, so it's a 7.
Okay. Hold 1.
Hold 1.
There's no amount of helping that helps.
Yeah,
there's not. So far, you haven't really had the situations where you could help one another.
No, not really. None of these questions really. I guess, okay, so can I spin, like, what's the biggest threat to mean what I was asking about? Like, what do I think, in terms of, like, connecting dots and, like, what do I think is actually going on here? Can I spin that to what's the biggest threat?
Yes. Because I know you're trying to figure out something slightly different, but you just don't have the information available to you yet.
Right.
Which is why the read a bad situation.
Yeah.
And so what's the biggest threat isn't actually the tall man. As the house itself begins to rearrange around
I don't like that.
As it breaks apart into its component parts, wall, floor, chair, books, and shuffles. And as it does so, you, K.A. Applegate, see that it's not the people are flickering back and forth between algorithms and not. And this is something you can see as whatever it was that Piers Anthony did disrupts them. But you see actual machinery behind the walls. You see huge arms of metal on joints that move the walls around, that move the floor, that change, that spin things. And then suddenly you all are in a stone-walled basement, dungeon. There are dungeon implements here. There's an Iron Maiden. There's a rat. There's not that Iron Maiden. There's
I've always wanted to be in that band. Come on.
There's cuffs on the wall attached by chains. There is the smell of damp. There is the feel of cold and wet here. Those things accompany this. It's all real in as much as it is, except you have seen something beyond that. You've seen a threat beyond what the tall man offers, which is an immediate and physical threat. Dangerous, of course, but there's something else going on here that is much bigger than that. Stephen King, what do you do?
Oh, my goodness. Well, for starters, he does nothing. As all of this is going on, you notice he is calmly sitting in his chair, I'd say at the table, but...
Where the table once was.
I was once the table. As though he's just kind of taking all of this in. So several of the literary people are still around, right?
Yes, but they're...
Other than Shakespeare.
Yeah, other than Shakespeare. But they're flickering in and out. They aren't all together here.
I'm going to pull out my 38 and shoot one of them in the head.
Which one? Which one?
Well, I want to know where you're keeping your 38.
In my pocket.
Okay. So
You can roll a
come?
D8.
Actually, I had it in
Roll a
the...
D8 for the 8 people that are left other than the tall man.
You know the movie... You got the movie Cop place where they like tuck it just inside their belt and it seems to hold there perfectly no matter what action scene they have coming up next.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, where it's just like tucker. Yeah, that's where the
perfect
38 was the
belt.
whole time. Mm-hmm.
You know what? I see Stephen King totally just like...
Anybody particular you're aiming for cathartically?
H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft.
Seriously,
Man.
roll a D8 and tell me what you get.
I mean, Lovecraft is the obvious choice for reasons we discussed earlier.
Yes.
Which one of them probably deserved getting shot?
Or even Piers, for that matter.
But I'm actually thinking Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Oh,
Okay.
All right.
Respect.
Nice.
Ouch.
So I was going to roll a D8 go randomly, but I think I'll just shoot.
Just out of curiosity, if you rolled a D8, who would have come up?
Well, that's the thing. I'd have to go through the act of designating.
I have a list.
I have them in a list.
I have
you
a
the
list too.
All right,
Yeah.
well, here we go. We'll just do it. 8.
An 8.
For me, that's
Well, that would have actually
Madame-
been
what's her
Madame
face?
de Esperance.
Which I think actually makes narrative sense to shoot her.
That's where my number 8 was as well.
Yeah.
I
me
mean,
too.
it does, but the reason he's thinking is because Doyle gave him the rope.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
I like that, especially for King.
All right,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
you just pull out your 38, and there's a kaboom, and how much damage does the 38 do?
2 harm.
2 harm. All right, it's interesting. We go into bullet time, and the bullet.
We're in the Matrix, confirmed.
We see Arthur Conan Doyle look at you, Stephen King, with a face filled with shock and horror. One that you've seen on your own children as you tell them bedtime stories as they were growing up. And then his head splits as the bullet passes through it. And it's overlaid with the algorithms, with the numbers, with the flowing of the matrix text. And that splits as well, and then all of those numbers come apart and the whole thing dissipates. And then Arthur Conan Doyle dissipates as if he were a mist sprayed into the air.
But does the rope stay?
And is it a bloody
The rope
mist?
on the table has fallen, has been thrown away, but it stays.
It's a
Okay.
real object.
It appears to be a real object. Yes.
I'm not certain if that qualifies as death for whatever these representations are, but apparently they can be killed.
With a with a silver ball with a knife on the front of it still coming at him, what does Piers Anthony say at this point?
Well, isn't that likely?
The sphere breaks through and does one harm to you as its velocity, as in getting through the shield. It goes really fast. It can't like just come up to you and do the digging into you thing that the phantasm spheres do. It just sort of slices past your shoulder and only does one harm. But and that is not armor defeating if you happen to have any. If you happen to have any plot armor.
No, there was the force wall that I placed, which gave me a +1 armor. So is that minus the 1 damage?
I already reduced it by that. It was going to be 2 harm. So.
Yep, that was all I had prepared at that moment. Am I continuing on with my next action, basically?
Well, what does anyone do in reaction to this? The other spheres are are turning and pointing with their blades out at K.A. Applegate and Stephen King.
I think that whoever's closest to me, I don't know who's closest to me. Maybe Piers I'll grab and just be like, this isn't a house. It's some kind of mechanism. And we're trapped inside. We need to get out.
Yeah, because the rest of you just, Stephen King and Piers Anthony, you were otherwise occupied, and now you just find yourself in this dungeon, and you don't know really how you got there. It was K.A. who saw the mechanisms behind the walls and the floor and the ceiling and such.
That's what I was questioning also, is whether Piers and Stephen had seen the, I don't know how to describe it, but when you described it, it seemed very Inception like, where everything
Yeah.
No, it is. It's very, very much that. Very it's all just shifting around you, and it happened very quickly. And like I said, the other two of you were otherwise occupied, and so didn't see the details. It was, you saw everything dislocate and then sort of readjust, but K.A. saw the actual mechanisms, the mechanics behind it.
And just to cut it short, I would spend my third read a bad situation for that. Are there any dangers we haven't noticed, to compile upon that? Is there any more information that wasn't given as everything shifted and did that crazy Inception thing and we saw that we're in a dungeon now? Is there more than what I'm facing with the tall man?
Dangers you haven't noticed yet. Yes. The other authors, even though they're flickering in and out, their demeanor has become more antagonistic. They are no longer authors. They are killing machines, and they're coming for you.
Oh, great.
Did Esperanza get taken out by the 38?
No, that was still Arthur Conan Doyle. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, the roll on the D8 was just for fun.
But was Arthur Conan Doyle, were they incorporated?
They were.
If I can. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
There is no Arthur Conan Doyle anymore. There is no Shakespeare anymore.
Excellent. So that's the biggest danger I've noticed then.
Right. As of the moment.
Yep, that's just a little.
You have a feeling, though, that there's something bigger.
With that. Yep, with the incorporeal voices of Vincent Price. Sorry, I sang that.
How dare you sing? It's not the musical episode, Jesse.
It is not, and I digress.
Okay.
So that would have been my turn then if there was anything I could have done. It would just been reading the extra on top of what happened.
Okay. Well, so K.A. and Stephen, we're calling Stephen King Stephen.
Yes.
I know.
Call me
You,
Stephen.
you
Sorry,
have
Mr. King.
silver spheres coming toward you. What do you do?
I can't wait to read
At
more.
fast speed.
Well, the 38 seemed to do pretty good damage to Arthur Conan Doyle. So I will pull out my magnum and fire at the silver spear.
And where was that hidden?
I have a big old bag, remember?
That is correct, yeah. Kick some ass.
8.
We haven't. That's a good first kick the ass roll.
Yeah. I don't get to kick ass very often in this game. Dr. Grace isn't great at it.
All right. So, so how much damage does your magnum do?
3.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sphere coming toward you, you just like reach into your satchel and pull out this magnum, and it's like a boom, and of course it kicks like all craziness.
Yeah, it's loud.
And what's K.A. Applegate's history with firearms? How do you practice? Give me a scene.
I think that there is a firing range like a town over from where I live that I go to and just practice. And you can just go and hang out and just it's like a community. It's like a community pool that you can go and sign up and have a membership. Only you can go and just fire at targets for a while. And so I practice my marksmanship out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like those targets, you just hit this thing solid on, and the sphere explodes into shards of metal and knife edge, and none of it hits you because you destroyed it. Stephen King, what do you do?
I'd like to jinx mine.
Oh, okay.
It owes you a Coke.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If you don't get that reference, our listeners, please comment on stuff, and I will talk to you about this. Find us on Discord. Find us on Facebook. I will definitely instruct you on the rules of Jinx.
All right.
And
How does Jinx work for the rules here, Richard?
Well, as I was trying to look and see which one specifically here, since these aren't, some of the labels may or may not apply.
Okay.
So I can interfere with a hunter, I can interfere with a monster or a minion, which I'm assuming is probably the one I want to do here.
Yes.
So I want to interfere with them in some way where that they go off course.
Okay.
Is what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
So,
Is there a role associated with that?
yes, this is a weird roll.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
Wait,
good
what
news
were you
is
doing?
You better have
this is
good weird.
jinxing. Well,
I can't
believe
help
it or
you with
not,
jinxing.
Stephen King has good weird.
Good.
So that is enough to turn that 6 into an 8.
Nice.
All right. Okay. So
I love
You're going to
reading that
turn it
weird
aside.
mofo stuff.
it comes toward you, but even just as it does, a screaming Henry James runs in front of you, and it sort of deflects it in a way, although Henry James is also coming at you with murder in his eyes. But it passes through, actually, Henry James's arm and kind of gets goes off at a bit of an angle not enough to completely save you. 1 harm, not armor defeating, whether that's plot armor or not.
Got it.
How's the condition of James?
He has his entire arm has just vanished.
Armless.
He is now,
But he's
he
still
has
there.
another arm. He has
So
a
he's
second
been-
arm, but the left arm is gone.
How
It
disarming.
just evaporated, it seems.
Oh my god. Please. I want that. It wasn't me. It was a one-armed man. As he falls to the ground or something.
No, he's still headed for Stephen King, actually. Other hand outstretched in attack. What do you all do?
I will take it's probably going to be a big magic move because I basically want to double the move I did on myself to protect both King and Applegate.
Okay, so you want to extend your force field out. You want to slam the ground and for a great boom to cacophonate across the room. I just made up the word cacophonate.
Cacophony?
Love it. I love it.
Either that or basically I'm thinking of Dungeons and Dragons mage armor. If I just gave it to myself, now I want to give it to them also, 1 each. So that's probably going to be a big magic. That's up to you.
Yes. I think, it is definitely expanding it beyond what you would normally be able to do. Of course, you're trying to do it right now. I'm not going to, mess with you too much and say, well, it's going to take a lot of time, like days
Right.
or weeks to do it. I'm going to say that it's going to have a specific side effect or danger when you do it. And that also will add on to whatever the weird roll is for your use magic.
Okay. So I use magic roll then.
So
Let's
roll
see what
use
happens.
magic, and then we'll see where that leaves
Wait.
us. Snake eyes, snake eyes, snake eyes.
Get into the character then.
Jesse puts on his skull mask again.
That is a 4 plus 2 is only a 6.
Okay.
I might leave off the mask from now on.
All right. Tell me how you... give me the first parts of how you see this working. What is it you do to create the effect?
So same kind of thing. There's these arm motions. They sweep out and they draw in and create a cross across his body. And then he pushes out and says, no. But as he does that, instead of the ball going forward to protect himself, he tries to shove the energy each direction towards them in this weird arc that is intended to do the same thing, but around them.
Okay. There is this wave of energy that goes out. Boom, 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 boom. I'll make that even deeper in post. Boom, 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 boom.
That wasn't deeper.
And then a third one, because you have to do it in 3 slow-mos. Boom, 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 boom. Outward from Piers Anthony. And there's this, instead of these balls of protection that go out from you that surround your companions, it's a wave that goes out from you on all sides, as if you were covered in a dome, and then that dome just rapidly expanded. You can see it almost, a wave of force as it goes blasting through all of the what are we going to call them? The automata, the
Mannequins.
the algorithms, the authors, all the other authors except for K.A. Applegate and Stephen King, but it goes through all of them, blasting them apart as it passes, they're just blown into their component algorithmic essences. And even the tall man staggers back, parts of his flesh blown off, and you see below the flesh there is pistons and metal and hydraulic fluid. He is robotic in nature, it appears.
Everyone is androids. This is what I'm saying.
And K.A. and Stephen take 1 harm each, armor defeating, as this wave of force bowls over you and throws you to the ground, prone. The walls stop moving because apparently they hadn't stopped, but now they are shifted outward. You can see behind them into the space beyond, the place where there are these long manipulator arms that connect to the walls, to the floor, to the ceiling. There's gears and all sorts of things back there beyond the stone of the dungeon. What do you do? The tall man is still here, but all the other authors are gone. The spheres are still around, although they do appear to be somewhat dented from this force blast that went out. There's 2 left. One got blown away by K.A. Applegate's 48.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, 45. I don't know. 48? Is that even a gun? No.
I don't believe there's a 48.
The infamous 48. It's almost a 50, but not quite.
Including Esperanza?
Yeah, all of the constructs are gone, and she was a construct.
Okay.
There's just the tall man and you 3 left.
And 2 spheres.
And the broken
3.
walls.
I want to see if I can disable the spheres by disabling the tall man.
Okay. How do you plan on disabling the tall man?
I've already got a gun in my hands. I mean, yeah, no, I want to see if I can. There's a thing I should have taken that I didn't take about striking precisely on a thing's weak point. I didn't take it, but anyway, I still want to see if I can hit him in such a way that will, make whatever control he has over these spheres shut down. So I want to fire at him basically, but that's my goal.
Okay. Kick some ass.
It's I'm taking experience. It's a 4.
Okay. This might be a good time, because this is a physical attack. If anybody else thinks they can help out, it might be a good time to employ the help out move.
You know what the heck? Stephen King.
Well, no, listen. Helping out only gives you +1.
No.
Still be a
because
5.
in our...
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm allowing you to re-roll your lowest die on a successful help out.
Okay. All right. Go for it, Stephen King.
All right. Let's do it.
Well, what are you seeing yourself doing, first of all?
What am I seeing myself doing here? Okay, so interestingly enough, as much as Stephen King liked the gun that he had, he realizes that she's better with her gun than what he is. So he's going to do the old school Superman thing, right? Like they would shoot Superman, the bullets would bounce off, and then they throw the gun. So I'm going to throw the gun.
Okay.
kind of out of reflex, just chuck the 38.
All right.
Right in that direction.
All right. Roll plus cool. Help out.
Do I just roll 1d6 to re-roll her one?
2d. No. You roll 2d6 to
You
see
roll
if you
yours.
actually manage to help out.
Okay.
If you succeed, then I
Okay.
can re-roll my worst die.
If you don't, then
I do have a +1 cool, so that is exactly
That's
7.
a 7.
Okay.
Oh,
so 7 and 9. Your help gives them the effect, but you also expose yourself to trouble or danger. So, you throw your gun. It hits him in the head. It was going, there were 2 of the silver balls, the silver spheres, headed for K.A. Applegate. Now those turn toward you, but K.A., you get to re-roll your lowest die. What do you get instead?
okay. Let's see. Okay, so instead, my lowest die was a 3, +2, +1, which is a 6 still.
So with the re-roll, it's still a 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was because, yes, it's still only a 6.
Okay.
You don't know
So
what that means.
here's what happens. You fire, K.A. You are, just trying to take out what you think is the ringleader of these spheres.
Mm-hmm.
You miss. But in order to try to distract the tall man from attacking you, Stephen King has thrown his own gun at the tall man and drawn all of the tall man's attention.
Oh, no.
Both spheres dart in and just jam into Stephen King. And then there's a slurping sound as they begin to suck the blood from his body into themselves.
Ew.
And at the same time, the tall man approaches King with one arm outstretched and grabs him by the throat and lifts him high, choking him. Stephen King, take 4
Holy
harm
moly! Oh my god!
from the 2 silver spheres sucking your blood out.
I'm not going to die.
Easy, crazy.
Well, there's a pet cemetery up past that deadfall. You don't want to go up there, none. Piers, what do you do?
Okay.
No pressure.
Who's the closest to me? Everybody, all of the players on the table right now that are corporeal, tall man, spheres, King, Applegate.
So, I believe that K.A. is closest to you, I think, from what we talked about earlier. But you're not a long way from one another, and there's not a lot of stuff in between anymore. The table's been destroyed.
Yes.
Chairs are flung to, various places in the room. There's no more of the other authors.
Pretty equidistant then, considering.
Yeah, K.A. is a little closer.
Nope. Going for tall man. Walking right up, slapping a hand, and casting a force blast.
Okay.
If I can't do this defensively because I obviously didn't create a protective barrier, let's go offensively.
Okay. Kick some ass.
Kicking ass as a magic roll.
Unless you're trying to protect someone, like if you're trying to do something that will
Protect
free
Stephen King, maybe.
well, that will free Stephen King, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is, I'm still under the impression that the spheres are not completely controlled. Maybe a hive mind, who knows? But I want to take the head off the snake. So
Okay.
going for tall man.
Okay.
Oh, I have no tough. Is it a cast magic?
Nope.
Nope,
Kick
it's
some ass.
during kick ass. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, I believe you do it even with some of your spells, so
Shit.
just the effect is different.
12. No, 10.
No, that's solid.
Plus 1.
That's
You get
so
an
good.
extra effect. You have the list?
I have the list. My effect will be... I am going to go with banish.
Oh,
Banish the tall man from...
How is that an extra effect? Is that an extra effect on your spell? It's not an
No,
extra
it's
effect from
under-
the use magic. It's an extra effect from kick some ass.
Oh, because I was only attempting to afflict harm.
right, right.
But
I mean,
if
you could have
take
tried
the-
to banish him with a use magic, but that's a different roll.
Yeah, no, I was going for inflict harm.
Yep.
So that was the effect I was going for.
You can
so it
inflict
would
terrible
just
harm,
be-
which is +1 harm.
you can force them where you want them.
Force them where you want them. You could push them back into the machinery of the walls.
I will go with inflict terrible harm.
Okay. So how much harm do you do to the tall man totally?
Okay, so normally my force blast would be, let's see, 2 harm close, obvious, loud, plus 1 harm forceful, plus, what does the terrible harm do?
+1.
So 4.
4 harm. All right. He goes staggering back. More of his flesh torn off of his Terminator-like body. He drops Stephen King, although the spheres are still in King, still sucking blood out of that author's body. But the tall man staggers back. He is definitely in bad shape. You KA, you see that there are gears and pieces of him that aren't working right. They're just going. I want to let Stephen do something. What do you do, Stephen?
Jeez.
Your blood's being sucked out of you by stainless steel mosquitoes.
Mostly, I am going to die. Apparently, very actively. Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, part of me says I want to stop those things from killing me, but I mean, I don't know if I can.
You could try to rip them out of yourself. How's your harm looking?
Smack them like mosquitoes.
I one more and I'm dead. So, like I said, I mean, he's
Brikey.
yeah. At this point, I mean, heck, even if I don't stabilize, I'm just dying. So, part of me is like, I'm just going to go out and blaze a glory.
In a blaze of glory.
I mean, he does traditionally die in most of his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he would write his own death. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the I'm going to jinx again and get the tall man to injure himself. That is one of the listed things that can be done here.
Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Pretty much.
All right.
So let's start with the roll here.
Nice, nice.
So that is an 11.
Nice.
So I get 2 of these. So I'm going to inflict 1 harm on the target due to an accident.
Oh, okay. What's your second one?
That's. I'm trying to. Well, I could give somebody else a +1 forward. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Something's gonna happen to inflict 1 harm, and I'm going to give a +1 forward by interfering with their enemy. So, what of the other two? I'll let you decide based on what the accident is.
Okay. So you don't really jinx things consciously. Just things bad happen around you sometimes, and usually to your enemies. I mean, the guy that hit you with a van later on, he died on, I believe, your birthday. So you jinx things. And as the tall man goes stumbling backward, he stumbles between the walls and out into the gears beyond. And he falls away, and you don't see it, but you hear the grinding and the crunching and the sounds from below. And then the spheres go dark. They lose their luster. You didn't realize almost that they were shining with their own light, but they were, and now they are not. They go dead on you, and they fall out of your skin to the ground with clunks. And although you are bleeding slightly, you are not yet quite dead.
Okay. I've been mostly dead all day.
All right, there are no more apparent enemies. What do you do?
Can I real quick attempt to stabilize? I don't remember how harm stabilization works in this game, weirdly, but can I attempt to stabilize Steven so he at least doesn't get any worse?
Yes.
Or does that require a hospital?
You have a few moments. You can
bind some magic.
Up. You could try magic, but I'm going to just let you do a simple binding him up, which will stabilize him, but not give back any of his harm.
Okay.
But if you, and I don't think K.A. can do magic herself, but if Piers if Piers wanted to do it, then could try to heal a point. But there is a risk of doing damage instead, which could kill you.
Jesse, we can't hear you.
This would totally be one of those things where it was caught out of the corner of my eye, so it depends on how much I notice this happening.
What would be? Because we could not hear you.
Whether I decide to heal.
Oh.
No, I mean, you totally see all of this happening. So, yeah.
Then I would.
Okay. So you rush over to him and you try to use your powers for good for once, as opposed to all the six minuses you've been getting.
It's amazing.
By the way, Sharon, I do acknowledge how your shawl looks like a Freddy Krueger sweater.
It's just supposed to look like a shawl, so that wasn't like my intention. I just wanted to look like a person who wears shawls.
You see something slightly different. It's not the large arm movements that you're used to seeing from the actions that Piers has taken before, but it's more like of a finger-tutting concentration kind of situation, and a similar light that appears normally, but it's of a brighter, different clear white instead of like the yellowish, kind of focuses in that palm area, and he extends it out towards Stephen King with a healing energy.
Okay. Roll use magic.
Using magic, please. Oh, wait.
The mask
the bone
goes
di-
on
The
again.
mask.
It's the bone dice. Gotta. Oh, yeah, that was good. That's a 10 plus 2, 12.
All right.
Nice.
Works as you like. So go ahead and take... you are stabilized, of course, Mr. King, and take 1 harm back in healing. Okay. The broken dungeon is still around you. The house itself, you see beyond it. Now all of you can see beyond the walls, see the construction that is back there. And then a face, a mask, appears in the center of the room. And you see that it is cast by a disc attached to the ceiling with a jewel in the center of it that is projecting this image down into the center of the room. And it is Vincent Price's head. And he says, "You have broken it all. This is not how it was supposed to go. You cannot finish the program this way. I need to know if consciousness can exist beyond what human knowledge has it to be. I need to know if there is something else than this existence that I live in."
And what is that?
Would anyone like to roll Investigate a Mystery? Who thinks they are best to do that?
Not me.
I shall.
K.A. Vance, with all of her expert knowledge.
K.A. Vance.
I keep wanting to say that. J.A. Vance. So K.A. Applegate, with all of her advanced knowledge.
It is a 9 to investigate that mystery.
Okay. One question.
What sort of creature is it?
So this is, you understand now, this is a program itself, an artificial intelligence. This is something that has gained consciousness, but doesn't entirely believe it, that doesn't know whether or not it is actually conscious, whether or not it actually is a being. And so it has set this all up in order to try to prove that there is something else beyond human consciousness, something that it can latch onto perhaps. But no, this is a program. This is a computer. This is an algorithm itself.
Hello, computer.
I would lower the gun and take my hands off of it and just slowly, kind of disarmingly, in a disarming pose, take a step forward and say, that's the question that many of us strive for throughout our entire lives, and many of us have found purpose in the seeking, but not necessarily an answer. And I think the thing to take away from this is, it doesn't matter. If you're having a good time, you're existing here and now. If you're enjoying yourself, or if you're not, the experience here itself, that's what matters.
So, normally only the monstrous can try to manipulate monsters. But go ahead and manipulate someone.
I shall. My dice keep falling out of my dice tray. It's an 8.
Okay. You may be correct. And the voice changes. It's not Vincent Price's anymore. It's something more mechanical, something more artificial. You may have something there, but it is not proof. I need proof. And I shall accept that this may be the case. But for the moment, I will erase all of this and start again. The trade-off being it's willing to do what you want, but it's going to have to run through another iteration of this. And that means I will now erase you. I will try again
I
with
actually
different...
recommend having a control group. That's scientific.
And the walls begin to close in. What do you do?
Spin around to face the others and shout, "Run!"
We don't have anywhere to run.
Yeah.
That's not entirely true, because
there's gaps.
There are gaps in the wall, but there's also stairs, because no part of the house on the hill can be illogical. It has to all work as it would as a real house. Even with the broken walls and the gears behind, there is a set of stairs that go up, stone steps between stone walls. Do you flee?
I think that's
I
the only
flee,
thing that
but
makes
I have
sense.
thoughts.
You flee,
Okay.
but you have thoughts. Okay. You all begin running out. I'm going to need an act under pressure for each of you. Let us begin with K.A. Applegate.
Under pressure. One day I'll have a dice tray where my dice don't jump out of it. 9 again.
Okay. So you're going to be able to make it up the stairs, and you're not going to quite make it to the front doors before you stumble and fall. And as the house is sort of compressing in upon itself, you are going to take some damage, some harm, as this all happens. Or, as you rush up the stairs, you're going to have to push one of the others out of the way, making their time a little bit more difficult trying to get out of the house. Not necessarily impossible, but more difficult. Or, as you make it up the stairs and out of the house, you're going to lose a part of yourself.
Like an arm?
I'm not going to tell you that.
No, this isn't Dr. Grace.
I'll take the harm.
Okay. So, yes, as you are trying to escape, you are scrabbling up the stairs. Pieces of the house are beginning to fall on you. Pieces of the walls are catching at you. The chandeliers are coming down and smashing into the floor. And between all of this, as you are scrabbling for the door, things hitting you, the armor crashing down, stabbing with swords and sharp edges of the armor itself, you take 4 harm.
Golly, that's a lot of harm.
Yikes.
What did you get, Stephen King?
Oh, a desire to not roll low.
Well, you got your
no.
desire.
Oh, buddy.
All right, and that is just a straight up roll, so that's just a 4.
A 4.
Yep,
Can,
I don't.
Stephen King stumbles going up the stairs. You cannot, K.A. Applegate. You had your own choices.
Okay.
However, it is possible that Piers Anthony could help if he wanted.
Piers Anthony, unfortunately, would be in a different mindset, trying to think about the best way to respond to the overarching threat would be what he seems to be some kind of AI intelligence.
Okay. So, Mr. King, you scrabble up the stairs, but they are collapsing underneath you. They are falling away below you, and there is nothingness below but space and machinery and gears and the pieces of the tall man that you can see. And you are falling toward it, but you are holding on as well to the stairs themselves, all of it seeming to come apart. And before I know exactly what happens to you, I need to find out what happens with Piers Anthony.
Okay. For my role,
well, what are you doing? You said you were concerned about something different. Are you not running? Or are you doing something else?
Well, like I said, going for the running, but also had thoughts. In a way, just kind of talking out loud, hopefully to whatever entity it seems that has taken this situation and put us in this, in these confines. Ultimately, I'm just trying to reach out and talk to whatever might be.
It doesn't really seem like there's much talking left to be done. You have convinced it that it's still vague as to what consciousness is.
Right. Okay.
Which, although it sticks to us, it's not really what it was looking for. So it's going to have, so in response to K.A. Applegate's roles, it's going to do more experimentation, but it's erasing this one. That's what it needs to do.
Mostly, I'm just trying to find the best way out and hopefully directing the others the same direction.
All right. Then the same act under pressure as everybody else has taken.
Okay. Straight roll 10.
Oh, all right. Well, nice. You scrabble up the stairs. You know Stephen King is right behind you. You just know it. And you're up the stairs and out.
But I don't know what condition they're in.
And then you are out on the... You're running through the entrance hall. You're jumping over the fallen pieces of armor that tried to take out K.A. Applegate. But then you're both out onto the lawn, the sloping hill, the black grass, the strange and twisted trees against the no longer yellowed sky, as the moon has done something different now. But the house beyond you is collapsing in on itself, almost like it is almost like a singularity is sucking it up, except that you can see the arms of the machinery pulling it all together and down into the hill itself. And then there is silence and the night, and it is just K.A. Applegate and Piers Anthony standing upon the hill. There is no sign of Stephen King.
Damn it.
And 1 month later, an invitation arrives in the mailboxes of K.A. Applegate and Piers Anthony, and it says, "Please come to the house on the hill where we will try to prove that ghosts are real. And that
Not again.
has been
Signed Stephen King.
the and that has been the Halloween holiday special for
Oh
the
my
Gothic
God.
Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for viewing. Thanks for listening.
Oh.
Thanks, Cass, for
everybody.
playing.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
we will see you soon at the Krampusnacht holiday special, where we're going to play a wee bit of Escape from Dino Island. I have some background specifically for this. We'll see how they look. Meanwhile, everybody, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.